The Priestess's Time Travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 526 Phoenix Man 4. The homework in school was too simple for Su Qingni, and there were not many extracurricular books nowadays. Romance novels had not yet become popular, and even martial arts novels were not widely circulated in small towns. Without anything to kill time, Su Qingni could only sleep with her face covered by textbooks. With her alertness, she would never let the teacher find out what she was doing. However, sleeping all day was not a good thing. Moreover, because their family was in the village, the children who were admitted from rural areas had to live in the school. There were 8 people in a dormitory, and the accommodation conditions were not to be mentioned. Not everyone in the dormitory was easy to get along with. They had their own thoughts, and quarrels and other things often happened. Su Qingni decided to shorten her time in high school. She ran to find the head teacher and said that she wanted to skip a grade and take the college entrance examination this year. The head teacher persuaded Su Qingni not to be impatient, to be steady, and to take one step at a time. But Su Qingni was determined to skip a grade. Helplessly, the head teacher could only take her to the principal and ask the principal to organize the teachers in the 3rd year of high school to give Su Qingni a skipping exam. Needless to say, Su Qingni entered the 3rd year of high school smoothly. The dormitory could not be moved for the time being, so Su Qingni decided to rent a house in the county town and stop living on campus when she had enough money. Time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, a month had passed. The National Day was here, and the school had a 3-day holiday with a weekend. After Su Qingni finished her last class in the afternoon, she did not stay for evening self-study and took the last minibus back to the village. Her parents at home had already prepared dinner and were waiting for her to come back. Aunt Shitao slaughtered a rabbit raised at home and made braised rabbit, which made Su Qingni's mouth full of oil. There was no other way. The food in the school cafeteria was really bad, and there was no oil. This was also one of the reasons why Su Qingni wanted to graduate from high school quickly. Su Shitao and his wife smiled as they watched their daughter eat heartily, constantly putting rabbit meat into her daughter's bowl. Almost the whole pot of rabbit meat went into Su Qingni's bowl. Su Qingni quickly used chopsticks to move the rabbit meat into the bowls of Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao. Dad, Mom, you guys eat too. Okay, we'll eat too. Su Shitao smiled and was in a very good mood. Aunt Shitao smiled happily. My daughter is so filial. The family had dinner happily, and Su Qingni took the initiative to wash the dishes. After washing the dishes, Su Qingni walked out of the kitchen and saw an exquisite ornament on the table in the main hall. This is a screen she designed herself. The embroidery is double-sided, one side is pine and cypress, and the other side is a kitten catching butterflies, which means old age. Both pictures mean longevity, and the symbolism is very beautiful. The outer frame and bracket were carefully made by Su Shitao, and the patterns were carefully carved on it and painted. The whole bracket looks very simple, elegant and luxurious. It's better than Su Qingni imagined. If this finished product is taken out and sold to someone who knows the goods, it will definitely be sold at a high price. Su Qingni said to Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao with sparkling eyes, Dad, Mom, let's go to the provincial capital. What are you going to the provincial capital for? Su Shitao asked. The provincial capital is not close to their county town. It takes a whole day to get there by train. Su Qingni smiled and said, let's go sell embroidery. You made this embroidery so beautifully. It's simply a work of art. It would be a loss to sell it in the county town. There are not many people in the county town who know the goods. We can definitely sell the embroidery at a high price if we go to the provincial capital. How much can it sell? Can it offset the travel expenses and accommodation expenses? Aunt Shitao didn't believe how much the screen could sell for. Su Shitao was the same. The two had never left a county town and had no idea that their craftsmanship could be called master craftsmen outside. Of course, it can be done. Su Qingni hugged Su Shitao's arm and acted coquettishly. Dad, go, go. My daughter has never been to the provincial capital since she was a child. Su Shitao, who loved his daughter, gritted his teeth and said, go. Even if the screen couldn't sell for much money, he would go and take his daughter to the provincial capital for a tour. Well, by the way, they could see it for themselves. They went as they said. The next morning, the family of 3 took a car to the county town, then took a bus to the city, and took a train to the provincial capital from the city train station. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the train arrived. The provincial capital train station was very busy. Even so late, there were still many people in the station, many of whom were waiting for the train. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao had never seen so many people, and so many tall buildings and cars. They were both timid when they walked out of the station. Su Qingni walked between the two of them, holding their arms with both hands and leading them forward. After walking a few steps, they were blocked by a middle-aged woman. "Brother, sister-in-law, little girl, do you want to stay in a hotel? Our hotel is nearby, the price is cheap, and it is clean and hygienic." After a lot of sales, Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao were shocked and did not respond for a long time. Su Qingni carefully examined the middle-aged woman's face and said, "Sorry, we don't stay in a hotel. We want to go to our relatives. Auntie, you should go to find someone else." As she said that, she took the Su couple to the bus station. Since they were going to the provincial capital to sell things, Su Qingni naturally did some research in advance and had a plan in mind. Su Qingni took the two bumpkins who were scared of the provincial capital for the first time and took a bus to a guest house. This guest house was run by a large state-owned factory. Fortunately, no letter of introduction was required. As long as you had money, you could stay there. When Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao heard the amount of the accommodation fee, they couldn't help but say, "This price is twice as expensive as what the man at the train station said just now. Qingni, why don't we stay in that small hotel?" Su Qingni took the room number and key handed over by the front desk, and pulled the two to the stairs. "Mom and Dad, those small hotels are not formally operated, and the guest house is formally operated. The accommodation conditions in the guest house are good and safe, so we can sleep at ease at night. Those small hotels are not safe, and there are many thieves. If we are not careful, our money will be stolen." Really? Aunt Shitao and Su Shitao decided to believe their daughter. Although their daughter had never been to the provincial capital, she had read a lot of books and was more knowledgeable than the two of them, so they would listen to their daughter in everything. The rooms in the guest house were really nice. Su Qingni booked a standard double room with 2 beds. There were 2 beds with Simmons mattresses on them. This amazed the couple who had slept on hard wooden beds all their lives. They bounced on the beds like children. There was a separate bathroom in the room. Su Qingni taught them how to use the toilet and shower. The 2 country bumpkins exclaimed in amazement. Su Qingni quickly arranged for the 2 to take a bath and go to bed. Usually in the village, they went to bed at 8:30, but now it was already past 10 o'clock. Chapter 527 Phoenix Man 5. The Su family was indeed tired and sleepy. The excitement of coming to the provincial capital for the first time could not overcome the sleepiness. After a quick hot shower, the 2 went to bed. Su Qingni put a quilt on the sofa and curled up to sleep. The next morning, the family of 3 got up early. The Su family, who were used to getting up early, actually woke up at 5 o'clock, but the people in the provincial capital were not like those in the village. They got up late. There was no movement in the whole guest house, so the 2 could only lie on the soft bed and count sheep. But this bed was really comfortable, so comfortable that they didn't want to get up. At 7 o'clock, Su Qingni got up and woke the 2 up. After washing up, Su Qingni took the 2 to have breakfast. The guest house provides free breakfast. Although it is only porridge, steamed buns, pickles and eggs, the Su family couple thinks it is very good and much better than what they usually eat. No wonder they charge such an expensive accommodation fee. It turns out that this is the reason. But they have to work hard and eat, and they must eat back the money. Su Qingni drank a bowl of porridge and ate an egg and stopped eating. She sat aside and waited for the couple to eat until they were full before taking them out. She took them to the city center. It was said that there was an auction house there, which was opened by people from Hong Kong Island in the provincial capital. They collected antiques and handicrafts here and sent them to Hong Kong Island or abroad for auction. The country bumpkins of Su Qingni and the other 2 were not disliked by the people at the auction house. Instead, they received them very warmly. From their experience, these receptionists knew that these people who looked like country bumpkins really had good things in their hands, which were all old family heirlooms. These country bumpkins did not know the true value of old objects, and generally the price they sold to the auction house would not be very high, but they could sell them 10 times the price. And they, the handlers, could get a high commission. The Su couple was a little hesitant in the face of the enthusiasm of these people, but Su Qingni was generous. She pulled her parents to sit on the sofa and drank the hot tea brought by the receptionist. The receptionist saw Su Qingni's performance and looked up to her. This girl is not bad. She will be a big shot on the future. The receptionist's attitude became better. He asked with a smile, "Uncle, and, little sister, do you have anything to sell?" Su Qingni said, "It's a screen." Then he took out the screen wrapped in coarse cloth from his backpack and put it on the table. The receptionist's eyes lit up. These receptionists were trained before taking up their posts. After being taught, they all had good eyesight. The receptionist saw that the ornament was not an old item, but the woodworking and embroidery level was very high. The screen in front of him was exquisite and luxurious, and it was the top handmade product. "Little sister, this screen is not an old item, and the price will not be higher than an antique." Su Qingni nodded and asked, "How much?" The receptionist reported a number. Su Qingni shook her head and reported a number herself. The receptionist frowned. "Little girl, your price is a bit high." Su Qingni looked at the receptionist with a smile. "High? Not at all. If you buy this screen, you can sell it for 5 or 6 times the price. Wouldn't it be higher?" "Sister, our visit this time is not just for business. You can see that this screen is newly made, and it was made by my parents. If they can make the first one, they can make the second one. This is a long-term business. You don't want to be ruined by a hammer, right?" The receptionist was tempted. It was a long-term business, so she could get a commission for a long time. Even if she made less money from a single transaction, in the long run, the commission earned would be better than that one-time transaction. The receptionist looked at the Su family. She didn't expect that 2 old farmers who looked as rustic as could be could actually make such exquisite handicrafts. It's true that you can't judge a person by his appearance. No wonder the instructor who trained them taught them not to look down on others, because there are masters among the people. The receptionist took a breath and asked Su Qingni, "What kind of long-term method?" Su Qingni, "In 2 months, my parents can make a screen of this size. In half a year, my parents can make a single screen embroidered screen that is 1 meter wide and 2 meters long. In 8 months, my parents can make a 4-screen screen. What kind of screen do you want? You can directly place an order with my parents." The receptionist calculated in her mind how much commission she could get if a long-term cooperation was really reached. Then, she was even more excited. "I can't make a decision on this matter. I need to report it to our manager," the receptionist said. Su Qingni nodded to show that she understood. The receptionist said, "You sit down for a while, I will go to find the manager." After that, the receptionist asked the front desk to serve a plate of cakes and fruits to Su Qingni and the other 2, and then got up and went to another office. The front desk was very active in bringing over cakes and fruits. The receptionist said that since they were treating the 3 people like this, they must be big customers and must not be neglected. Su Qingni picked up 2 pieces of cut apples and handed them to Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao, saying to them, "Dad, Mom, don't be restrained, eat as you like. These apples are not produced in our area, but from other provinces. They are called red Fuji. They taste delicious. Eat them quickly." Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao were stunned when they heard the price Su Qingni had quoted before. It was just a small thing that 2 people spent more than half a month to make, but they sold for thousands of yuan? Exclamation mark. It's incredible. You have to know that at this time, the wages of workers were only 50 or 60 yuan a month, and the income of villagers was even lower. It was good to earn 400 or 500 yuan a year. And they can earn 1,000 yuan in a month? Wouldn't they become millionaires in a year? Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao secretly pinched their thighs with their hands. It hurt, and they were not dreaming. "Qingni, can this screen really sell for 1,000 yuan?" Su Shitao asked his daughter in a low voice. Su Qingni nodded and replied with a smile, "Dad, Mom, don't be too surprised. We will make money many times in the future. This company is very interested in signing a long-term cooperation contract with us. Dad, Mom, your skills are valuable." Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao both raised their hands and looked at their hands. They were excited and incredible. It turned out that they were so powerful and their hands were so valuable. The receptionist brought a man with glasses to the 3 people and stretched out his hand to shake hands with the 3 people in a very good manner. In the end, only Su Qingni shook hands with the manager, and the cooperation was also discussed by Su Qingni and the manager. Chapter 528 Phoenix Men VI. After the contract was signed, The manager of the other party could not help but sigh to Su Shitao that Su Qingni was amazing, even better than him who had been in the business for many years. The manager said to Su Shitao, "Brother, when your daughter grows up, you and your sister-in-law can wait to enjoy your life. But you can't give up the embroidery screen business, our company relies on you to make money." Su Shitao laughed foolishly, his heart full of pride. His daughter is the best, she can make a lot of money with him and his wife at a young age. The manager discussed with Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao and asked them to make a single screen and a 4-screen screen. There were no requirements for the embroidery surface and bracket of the screen, and it all depended on the performance of the two people. The two looked at their daughter, and when they saw her nod, they agreed. The manager asked the receptionist to give Su Shitao a part of the deposit first, and asked about the village where they lived, and agreed with the two to pick up the goods. When the two's works are completed, they don't need to go to the provincial capital to sell the goods. The receptionist will take people to their village to receive the screens in person. After the discussion, the manager treated the Su family to a meal at the restaurant. The dishes on the table were all things that the Su couple had never eaten before. At first, they didn't dare to pick up their chopsticks. Su Qingni whispered the 3 words 1,000 yuan in their ears. The two finally dared to pick up their chopsticks. They were going to become people with a monthly income of 10,000 yuan, so they could afford these dishes. After lunch, the family of 3 said goodbye to the manager and the receptionist. They did not return to the guest house, but were led by Su Qingni to stroll around the largest commercial street in the provincial capital. There were many good things on the commercial street, but the prices were relatively expensive. Aunt Shitao, who was used to saving money, was unwilling to spend money to buy things on the commercial street anyway. Su Shitao strongly agreed. Su Qingni could only take the two people to the comprehensive wholesale market next to the railway station. This market is the largest wholesale market in the entire S province. Everything is sold there, and the price is very cheap. Many businessmen come here to wholesale products. In addition to wholesale, merchants will also take out a small part of the goods for sale separately. The wholesale price is more expensive, but it is much cheaper than buying in other stores. Aunt Shitao was like a fish in water when she entered the wholesale market. She kept buying and buying. She bought 2 sets of clothes for each of the 3 members of the family, a new school bag and pencil case for Su Qingni, a few packs of filter cigarettes for Su Shitao and a new set of carpenter tools, and several rolls of white silk and a lot of embroidery threads and embroidery needles of various colors for herself. After a trip to the wholesale market, she spent 1/3 of the 1,500 yuan she had just received. Aunt Shitao and Su Shitao did not feel heartbroken as before, but felt happy instead. If you make a lot of money, you naturally have to spend it. What do you keep it for? The 3 of them rested in the guest house for one night and took the train to leave the provincial capital early the next morning. When they returned to the village, it was also 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. Many villagers were asleep. No one was walking around in the village, so no one saw the family of 3 carrying large and small bags home, let alone knowing that they made money. The next day, Su Qingni went back to school. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao came to the county town with the money they earned from the provincial capital and the family savings, and bought a house in the county town. Su Qingni and her roommates were too busy, and the noise affected their rest. She said she wanted to rent a house in the county town and move out of the school dormitory. Su Shitao had money in his hands, and thought it was better to buy a house than rent one, and he could also move his household registration to the site, so he brought Aunt Shitao to the county town to buy a house. Nowadays, the house price is very cheap. After the introduction of a middleman, the two spent 2,000 yuan to buy a house in the county town. The house is part of a whole house. The whole house is a house with a yard, with a total of 4 suites. Each suite has 2 bedrooms and a living room, and there is a kitchen in front of the living room. The Su family bought one of the suites, which is more than 70 square meters, enough for 3 people to stay. However, this house is registered under Su Qingni's name, and the household registration is only transferred to Su Qingni's household registration. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao are reluctant to give up the house and land in the village. If they move their household registration out of the village, the house may be retained, but the land allocated to them will be taken back by the village. Although they did not transfer their household registration to the city, the couple can live in the city. She would stay in the county town for half a month every month, and live in the village for the rest of the month, working in the fields. On the weekend of a week, Su Qingni moved out of the dormitory with the help of the Su couple and moved to their home in the county town. The house was very well tidy. The owner of the house left all the furniture in the house, and Su Shitao, a carpenter, repaired it and made the furniture look like new. The family happily ate a housewarming banquet and settled down in the county town. The next day was Sunday. Su Qingni took out white paper and a paintbrush and drew the structure and embroidery pattern of the screen on the paper. In fact, Su Qingni didn't need to draw the structure. As a carpenter, Su Shitao had a good idea in his mind. However, the structure drawing drawn by Su Qingni was mainly to design the patterns carved on it. After all, Su Shitao had limited knowledge. He had only heard of some auspicious patterns but had never seen them. The embroidery pattern was even simpler. A pair of magpies climbing branches and a pair of rich peonies were also patterns with good meanings. Su Qingni gave several drawings to Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao, and the two began to work. It took Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao only 3 months to make a large single-screen, but Su Qingni didn't want them to work too hard, so she gave the auction house half a year to pick up the goods so that the couple could rest more. Making money is important, and health is also important. She didn't want Aunt Shitao to hurt her eyes because of embroidery. Half a year later, Zhang Yuan, the receptionist who received Su Qingni and the other two, drove a small truck to the county town. Su Qingni asked Zhang Yuan to come to her home in the county town to pick up the goods, not wanting people in the village to know that their family made a lot of money from embroidery. Otherwise, relatives from 3,000 miles away would come to borrow money. Before, when the Su family bought a house in the county town, someone came to borrow money. But Aunt Shitao cried poor, saying that she owed foreign debts to buy a house, and those people left in disappointment. This time, the single-screen was sold for 10,000 yuan. When they got the money, the couple's hands were shaking. They had never seen so much money in their lives. This is enough for them to buy 4 or 5 more houses. The two were full of energy and began to ask Su Qingni for the blueprint of the 4-panel screen. What could Su Qingni do? Of course, she supported them and drew the blueprint for them, but she kept reminding them not to overwork and hurt their eyes, and told them to take their time. The couple happily agreed and were cheerful all day long. Even when Zuozian came to their house to borrow tuition for the second half of the year, they were still smiling and amiable. Chapter 529 Phoenix Man 7. Zuozian came back the day before the Chinese New Year. He went to his eldest brother's house quietly after nightfall. The eldest brother Zuo told his younger brother that the third son of the Zuo family had gone to the south. Zuozian laughed sarcastically and said to the eldest brother Zuo, "Brother, do you want to go to the city to work?" "Go to the city? Work?" The eldest brother Zuo stared at his younger brother blankly. Zuozian nodded, "Brother, now that the country is developing, there are many more jobs in the city. As long as you are willing to work hard, you can make money, much more than farming at home. Brother, why don't you go to the city with me, find a job, and earn money to support the family?" Zuozian looked at the furnishings in the eldest brother Zuo's house and sighed in his heart. The eldest brother's family was even poorer than the Zuo family. When the family was divided, the eldest brother Zuo and his sister-in-law almost left the house with nothing. Is it really that easy to find a job in the city? The eldest brother Zuo was tempted. Zuozian nodded and said, "It's hard to find a formal job, but there are many temporary jobs, and they are all those that require hard work. It will be very tiring and hard. Your elder brother is not afraid of hardship." After hearing this, elder brother Zuo made up his mind. "Wouldn't it be more tiring and harder to do farm work at home? When will you go back to the city? I will go with you," said elder brother Zuo. Sister-in-law Zuo had been listening beside him. When she heard that elder brother Zuo had made a decision, she felt reluctant, but when she thought about her husband working in the city to make money, that reluctance disappeared. With money, her family can build a new house. And her son is about to go to elementary school, so she doesn't have to worry about his tuition anymore. Zuozian replied, "I can't stay in the village for too long, lest I be discovered by my father and others and cause trouble. After the second day of the Chinese New Year, after I meet my 2 sisters, I will go back to the city." The eldest brother Zuo said, "It's only 4 days. Okay, I will hurry up to arrange things at home." Zuozian hummed, stood up and said, "I'll go to the Su family." The eldest brother Zuo knew that his younger brother borrowed money from the Su family to go to college, and he was very grateful to the Su family. He immediately asked the eldest sister-in-law Zuo to take half of the dried pickled fish and give it to Zuo Zian. It's not good to go empty-handed. Zuo Zian took the pickled fish and went to the Su family. It was dark outside and there was no moon in the sky, but Zuo Zian was very familiar with the road in the village and came to the Su family smoothly. The 3 members of the Su family sat around the stove roasting chestnuts to eat. It was the new year, and Su Qingni didn't let Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao do any work, so that they could relax. Aunt Shitao was talking about the gossip she had heard from the gossips in the village during the day, and Su Qingni was listening with great interest. At this time, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Su Shitao asked loudly. The voice outside the door was not loud, and the voice should be lowered, but it was still heard by the people inside. "Uncle Shitao, it's me, Zian." Uncle Shitao hurried to the yard, opened the door, and let the person outside in. With a light coming from the room, it turned out to be Zuo Zian. The young man had been away for half a year and was more energetic. His originally thin body was also much better. It seems that he had eaten enough and gained weight. Uncle Shitao led Zuo Zian in. Aunt Shitao was very enthusiastic and gave Zuo Zian a handful of roasted chestnuts and a bowl of brown sugar water. Eating the hard and sweet chestnuts and drinking the sweet brown sugar water, Zuo Zian felt warm in his heart and was more grateful to the family in front of him. For a while, he was embarrassed to ask for money again. The Su family was very considerate of him and knew why he came. Aunt Shitao poured the brown sugar water and went into the bedroom. After a while, she took out a stack of banknotes, a piece of paper and a pen. Zuo Zian very consciously wrote an IOU and gave it to the Su family, saying, "Uncle, Aunt, I will only lend you money this time. You don't have to lend me money next year." "Why don't you lend me money?" Aunt Shitao was surprised. "Then how will you pay tuition next year?" Zuo Zian said, "The school has a living allowance every month. If I save a little, I can spend half a month. I found a job as a tutor. Although I don't make much money, it is enough for the remaining half a month's living expenses. During the holidays, I can also follow my eldest brother to the construction site to move bricks. After 2 months, I can earn enough tuition for the next semester. There are subsidies for going to college." Aunt Shitao was surprised. Zuo Zian hummed and said, "A few years ago, tuition and miscellaneous fees were waived when I went to college. It's a pity that I didn't catch up with that time. It's not bad now." Su Shitao said, "At least there are subsidies." Zuo Zian nodded. He thought he would have to work like a slave for a long time before he could pay off the money the Su family lent him. As a result, when he arrived at the school, he found out that the tuition was not expensive and the school also had subsidies. Although the subsidies were not as much as those for military school students and normal school students, it was still a big surprise for him. He only borrowed money from the Su family for 1 year, and he could pay it back in 1 year after graduation and work. He was glad that Su Qingni didn't like him at that time and let him be the Su family's son-in-law, otherwise it would be too disadvantageous. 1 year in a lifetime, it's not worth it no matter how you think about it. I'm afraid that if he becomes the Su family's son-in-law first, and then knows about the school subsidies and working to make money, his heart will be unbalanced, and he may even blame the Su family. Treat the benefactor as an enemy. This is the best way now. Zuo Zian talked for a while at the Su family before saying goodbye and leaving. Su Shitao saw that Zuo Zian came here with slander, so he took out a flashlight and sent Zuo Zian back to his eldest brother Zuo's home. The next day was the Chinese New Year, and Su Qingni happily followed Aunt Shitao to prepare food for the Chinese New Year. Now their family is a 10,000 yuan household, and they bought a lot of New Year's goods without spending any money, and prepared a very sumptuous New Year's Eve dinner. On the first day of the new year, the children in the village came to celebrate the new year, and on the second day of the new year, Aunt Shitao took her husband and daughter back to her parents' home. The conditions at Aunt Shitao's parents' home are not particularly good, but Aunt Shitao's mother is in good spirits and can do the work of picking up needles and thread smoothly. Aunt Shitao learned the embroidery skills from her mother. This time when she returned to her mother's home, Aunt Shitao asked her mother to embroider with her, and asked Zhang Yuanying to take the finished products back to help sell them to help improve the living standards of her mother's family. My mother is old and can't work for a few more years, but she can teach her skills to her granddaughter and daughter-in-law at home, so that they can embroider to support the family. The mother was very happy that her daughter had found a way to make money for them, and immediately asked her son to go to the county town to buy white silk and embroidery thread for her. Aunt Shitao quickly persuaded her mother, saying that it was only the second year of junior high school, and the state-owned stores in the county town were not open. After that, Aunt Shitao's family really started to make money and become rich by embroidery, becoming the second millionaire in the neighborhood. Zhuo Ziyun left with his eldest brother when he was in the third year of junior high school, and his two brothers-in-law also left at the same time. It was not until the four of them left that the Zhuo family knew that Zhuo Ziyun had come back. Chapter 530 Phoenix Man 8. Zhuo Ziyun's eldest brother and two brothers-in-law are hard-working, and Zhuo Ziyun took them to the capital. Today, society is developing in great strides, with tall buildings rising from the ground, and real estate is beginning to rise, requiring a large number of construction site workers. However, farmers are not aware of going out to work now, and most people in the city think that moving bricks is too hard, and not many people are willing to do it. This has led to a serious shortage of coolies on the construction site. Zhuo Ziyun brought his eldest brother and two brothers-in-law to find a job. The foreman welcomed them very much and immediately arranged accommodation for his eldest brother and two brothers-in-law, and asked them to work in the afternoon. Zhuo Ziyun stayed in the school dormitory, but came back every day to move bricks. The wages for moving bricks are not much, but food and accommodation are included, and there are 50 yuan a month, which is still the basic salary. If you move more bricks, there are also rewards. With the hard work of Zhuo's eldest brother and his two brothers-in-law, you can earn 80 or 90 yuan a month, and you can earn 1,000 yuan a year, which is much more than farming in the village. The eldest brother and his wife were very happy. They were very grateful to Zhuo Ziyun for bringing them out to make money and taking good care of him when they were working. Zhuo Ziyun worked with the eldest brother and his wife for a month and then returned to school. The second semester started, and he could no longer go to the construction site to move bricks, so he found two tutoring jobs. One of the tutoring jobs was for a high school girl. The girl's family was very rich, so she didn't study hard and didn't care about her future. Anyway, her family was rich and she was the only child, so she could just live on money in the future. The girl Niangniang didn't like to study and didn't like tutors to teach her at first, but after seeing Zhuo Ziyun, her attitude took a 180-degree turn. The girl fell in love with Zhuo Ziyun at first sight. Although Zhuo Ziyun was thin because of his poor family conditions, he was able to eat enough and gain some weight after 6 months in school. His original bamboo-like figure became slender, and his appearance was good-looking, elegant and refined. The 17-year-old girl was attracted to him at first sight and fell in love with his tutor, who was no older than her. Because of her love, the girl was very well behaved in front of Zhuo Ziyun. She listened to everything Zhuo Ziyun taught her, and her academic performance began to improve. Her ranking in every exam was rising. Niangniang's parents didn't know that their girl studied hard because she liked Zhuo Ziyun. They thought that Zhuo Ziyun was a good tutor and gave him a reward. Zhuo Ziyun saw that the girl had a vague liking for him, and his heart moved. Niangniang was good-looking, her family was rich and she was the only daughter. If he married her, he could at least save 20 or 30 years of hard work. 17 years old was not young. In their village, they could get married. He was not old either, not even 20 years old, so the two were considered to be of the same age. Let's start a relationship from now on, and when Niangniang graduates, the two of them will get married, just in time. Zhuo Ziyun had a plan in his mind, and his attitude towards Niangniang became gentler. He didn't show it obviously. Niangniang is only a sophomore now, and early love is not encouraged. He doesn't need to show it too obviously now, as long as he can make sure that Niangniang always likes him and won't fall in love with someone else. When Niangniang is admitted to university, he will show his love for Niangniang, and they can become boyfriend and girlfriend in a legitimate way. Zhuo Ziyun decided to be a Phoenix man, but he didn't have an ex-girlfriend or a first love waiting for him to get his wife's wealth and then reconcile and kick his wife away. He really liked Zhuo Niangniang, and he was not a Phoenix man without conscience. 2 years passed in a blink of an eye, and Su Qingni was admitted to the best university in Beijing, and moved to Beijing with Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao. It was not difficult to persuade Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao to leave their hometown. The two of them only had one daughter, Su Qingni, and their daughter couldn't bear to leave them, and they couldn't bear to leave their daughter either. The daughter suggested that they go to Beijing with her, and both of them were very tempted. Moreover, they were not short of money now, and they had 20,000 or 30,000 yuan in their hands, so they could buy a house in Beijing. The auction house that they had always cooperated with also had a branch in Beijing. The finished products made by Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao could be collected by the branch in Beijing. Although Zhang Yuanyuan had lost their channel for picking up goods, Aunt Shitao introduced her mother's business to Zhang Yuanyuan, and Zhang Yuanyuan was still able to get exquisite embroidery and get a good commission. Su Qingni took Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao around Beijing for several times, ate all the delicious snacks in Beijing, visited all the tourist attractions in Beijing, and finally bought a house with a yard in the suburbs. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao were not used to living in a building, and felt that it was too narrow and cramped. They were used to living in a bungalow with a yard, and they could also grow some vegetables, fruits and the like in the yard to eat. However, the price of a courtyard house is not cheap nowadays. Even though the savings of a family of 3 are far higher than the average savings of people at this time, they still cannot afford a courtyard house. The housing prices in the suburbs of Beijing are quite cheap, but they are all considered rural areas. Even if you buy a house, you cannot get an urban household registration in Beijing. Su Qingni does not value an urban household registration in Beijing. In the future, as Beijing expands outward, rural household registration will also be converted to non-rural household registration. On the first day of school registration, Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao accompanied Su Qingni to school. The couple ran around and Su Qingni could not join in, so she could only follow behind them leisurely. However, many classmates were the same as her. The parents rushed to the front, and the children had no place to use their skills, so they could only follow behind obediently. Su Qingni exchanged glances with several freshmen and smiled. "Qingni." A surprised voice came from behind. Su Qingni turned around and saw that it was Zhuo Ziyun. It turned out that Zhuo Ziyun was in the same university as her. "Are you a freshman?" Zhuo Ziyun asked in surprise. Su Qingni nodded. "Brother Ziyun, so you are also a student of this university?" Zhuo Ziyun walked forward with a smile. "I didn't expect that you have become my junior schoolmate. If you have any difficulties in the future, come to me." Zhuo Ziyun told Su Qingni about his major, class and dormitory number. Su Qingni told her major and class, but the dormitory had not been decided yet, so naturally she could not tell Zhuo Ziyun. "Dad and Mom went to help me with the dormitory matters. I will be able to tell Brother Ziyun the dormitory number later. Aunt Shitao and Uncle Shitao are also in Beijing." Zhuo Ziyun was extremely surprised. Su Qingni nodded. "They sent me to school, and by the way, they bought a house on the outskirts of Beijing. They will stay in Beijing to take care of me in the future." Zhuo Ziyun heard envy. "Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao are so good to you." Chapter 531 Phoenix Man 9. Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao are good parents, but unfortunately they are not his parents. If he had parents like Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao, he would definitely respect them well, instead of not going home for the new year like he is now. Zhuo Ziyun felt sad for a moment, and then he saw Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao walking over with smiles on their faces. It was early September, and the weather was still very hot. They were squeezed in the crowd, and their faces and bodies were covered with sweat. They should be very tired, but they did not look tired at all, and they were still energetic. Uncle Shitao walked over and boasted loudly, "Qingni, Dad found a dormitory for 4 people for you. Although the fee is a little more expensive, the environment is better, there are not many people living in it, and there will be less trouble." Halfway through the walk, the two saw Zhuo Ziyun standing next to Su Qingni, and they were all surprised. "Ziyun, why are you here?" "Uncle Shitao, Aunt Shitao." Zhuo Ziyun greeted the two happily, and Su Qingni took out a kettle and handed it to the two. The two drank water separately and looked at Zhuo Ziyun together. Zhuo Ziyun smiled and said, "I also study at this university." "So you are also a student of this university?" Su Shitao suddenly realized and was happy. "That's great, we were worried about what would happen if Qingni was wronged in school alone. Now that you are here, you have to help us take care of Qingni." "Uncle, this is a must." Zhuo Ziyun quickly agreed. He picked up Su Qingni's suitcase and luggage bag with both hands and said to the 3 of them, "Uncle, what is Qingni's dormitory number? Tell me, I will take you to the dormitory." Oh. Su Shitao quickly reported the dormitory number. Zhuo Ziyun has been in the school for a year and is very familiar with the school. He knows which dormitory is where when he hears the dormitory number, so he led the way and took the 3 of them to the dormitory. Aunt Shitao helped her daughter make the bed, and the 4 of them left the dormitory to have lunch. Uncle Shitao wanted to treat Zhuo Ziyun to a meal, but Zhuo Ziyun said that he would treat them. Su Shitao looked at Zuo Ziyun with some worry. This child asked his family to borrow money when he went to college last year. Does he have extra money to treat his family to a meal? Zuo Ziyun smiled and said, Uncle, don't worry, I have money. I won't be unable to pay the bill after dinner. I have earned some money from working this year, so it's okay to treat you once in a while. Seeing that their daughter's grades were getting better and better, the Yun family's parents were very satisfied with Zuo Ziyun's tutoring, and doubled his salary, so Zuo Ziyun also saved some extra money. Aunt Shitao still wanted to refuse. After all, Zuo Ziyun only worked part-time after studying. How much money could he make? It's better not to let the child spend money indiscriminately. How good is it to save it? In the future, they can also pay off their own loans earlier. However, Su Shitao knew that men all want face. Since Zuo Ziyun said he would treat them, if they refused again, they would not give Zuo Ziyun face, so they nodded and agreed. When ordering dishes, order 2 fewer dishes at most, and only order vegetarian dishes instead of meat dishes. There are many snack shops near the university, and the prices are not expensive, very affordable. A group of 4 people entered a shop called Linji's Iachao. Zuo Ziyun greeted the shop owner and looked very familiar with the shop owner. Zuo Ziyun explained to Su Qingni and the other 2, I have worked in this store before. The boss of Linji is a very nice person, and the dishes he cooks are also very delicious. The 4 of them found a table and sat down. There was a menu on the table. Zuo Ziyun handed the menu to Su Shitao and asked him to order. Su Shitao looked at the menu, ordered a braised tofu, a green pepper and potato shreds, and a tomato egg soup, and did not order anything else. Zuo Ziyun knew that Su Shitao did not want him to spend more money, so he smiled and ordered 2 more meat dishes. He now has Niangniang, his quasi-girlfriend, who often sends things to him under various excuses, mainly food, which saves him a lot of food expenses. The monthly subsidies from the school are not spent, so there is really no need to help him save money. The 4 of them finished their meal happily, and Zuo Ziyun took the 3 of them to visit the campus. As they were walking, they heard someone calling Zuo Ziyun's name. They turned around and saw who else it was if not Niangniang. The little girl was holding a big bag in her arms, and her cheeks were puffed up as she glared at Zuo Ziyun and the other 3. Zuo Ziyun quickly stepped forward, took the big bag from the little girl, carried it himself, and smiled at the little girl. Yan, let me introduce 3 people to you. They are my fellow countrymen and my benefactors. Then he stretched out his other hand to hold the little girl's right hand and led her forward. The little girl's face flushed when the person she liked held her hand, and her previous anger disappeared in an instant. Zuo Ziyun's mouth curled slightly. Such a simple and lovely girl, it is easy to deal with. Let me introduce you. This is Uncle Su Shitao, and this is Aunt Shitao. This is their daughter Su Qingni. Qingni is a freshman this year. Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao sent Qingni to school. Zuo Ziyun said, Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao are my great benefactors. When I was admitted to university, I had no money to study. My father, my stepmother, and my brother plotted that I would marry a fool. Thanks to Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao who lent me money, I was able to escape from the village and that home. I was able to go to university and live my life today. Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao are my benefactors and the elders I respect the most. Their daughter is like my own sister. My own sister. Niangniang's unhappiness disappeared completely when she heard the last few words. Hello, Uncle Shitao, Aunt Shitao, and Qingni. Niangniang greeted the 3 people sweetly, and the hostility in her eyes when she looked at Su Qingni disappeared. Sister is good, and she will also treat this girl as a sister. The arc of Zuo Ziyun's mouth corners became higher. He said to Niangniang softly, I am taking Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao to visit the campus. Do you want to come with me? Niangniang nodded repeatedly. She came to see Zuo Ziyun in the first place, and she didn't want to be separated from Zuo Ziyun. Even if there were 3 light bulbs around her, she was still very happy. Let's go. Zuo Ziyun took Niangniang and left. Niangniang then realized that her hand was still in Zuo Ziyun's palm, and she smiled even more happily. After walking around the campus, Zuo Ziyun and Niangniang separated from Su Qingni and the other 2. Niangniang's hand was always in Zuo Ziyun's hand. At this time, there was no outsider. The little girl blushed and raised her clasped hands high, and said to Zuo Ziyun, Ziyun, you have been holding my hand. Do you like me? Zuo Ziyan originally wanted to wait until Niangniang went to college before confessing, but now plans cannot keep up with changes. Since Niangniang asked, he nodded and did not deny it. Yes, I like you. Niangniang felt like fireworks were blooming in front of her eyes, and she was so happy that she was about to fly. I like you too. Chapter 532 Phoenix Man 10. Zuo Ziyan and Niangniang became boyfriend and girlfriend on this day, but Niangniang is still a senior high school student, and she cannot let her parents and teachers know that she is in love, so the two agreed to have an underground relationship, and wait until Niangniang is admitted to the university before announcing their relationship. Niangniang patted her chest and promised Zuo Ziyan that she would definitely be admitted to this university and go to the same school as Zuo Ziyan. Zuo Ziyan said that he would try his best to help Niangniang with her homework and must let Niangniang be admitted to the university. So, when the two dated, they were studying. Yoon's father and mother found that their daughter was in contact with Zuo Ziyan too frequently. When Zuo Ziyan was not teaching her, their daughter actually took the initiative to find Zuo Ziyan. The two were also worried that there was a problem between their daughter and Zuo Ziyan. They secretly followed their daughter twice, and found that Niangniang was studying when she met Zuo Ziyan. Thinking of their daughters getting better and better grades, the two were relieved and grateful. They were relieved that their daughter had become so hardworking and motivated, and they were grateful to Zuo Ziyan for secretly helping their daughter with tutoring without asking for tuition. The Yoon family was not short of money, so the two of them gave Zuo Ziyan more money. Zuo Ziyan. Maybe he doesn't have to wait until he graduates. As long as Niangniang's senior year of high school is over, he will have enough money to pay off the Su family's debt. As he expected, a year later, Zuo Ziyan paid off the Su family's debt, and since then he has had closer contact with the Su family. After all, they are all from the same hometown, and everyone can take care of each other. Zuo Ziyan's eldest brother and two brothers-in-law often come to the Su family to sit. Aunt Shitao knows that they work very hard at the construction site. Every time someone comes, she will cook a table of delicious dishes to entertain them and nourish their bodies. The four people of the Zuo family are very grateful to the Su family. The four people took care of the heavy physical work of the Su family. Although the eldest brother Zuo and the two brothers-in-law worked hard, they made a lot of money, which made them feel that the hard work was worth it. After a few years, the money earned by the three people enabled them to build a new house in their hometown, and their wives and children lived a rich life. The three people did not spend their time at the construction site in vain, and learned a lot of house building skills. In the year when Zuo Ziyan graduated, the three of them quit their jobs and returned to their hometown to organize a construction team to build a house in the county. A few years later, the three families became famous tycoons in the county. Zuo Ziyan announced his relationship when Niangniang was a junior. Although Yoon's father and mother had always had a good impression of Zuo Ziyan, they were dissatisfied with Zuo Ziyan because Zuo Ziyan abducted their baby daughter. Moreover, Zuo Ziyan's family background was too different from Niangniang's. Yoon's father and mother did not agree with their relationship at all and wanted to break up the couple. However, Niangniang was determined to be with Zuo Ziyan and went on a hunger strike to protest against her parents. Parents could not get over their children, and Zuo Ziyan said that the children born in the future would take the surname of Yoon's parents, so Yoon's parents agreed to the two people's affairs. Yoon's father specifically confirmed with Zuo Ziyan whether he really let his child take the surname Yoon. Zuo Ziyan talked about the Zuo family and expressed his disappointment with Zuo's father and did not want his child to take Zuo's father's surname. Yoon's father was happy to hear this. He not only agreed to Zuo Ziyan and Niangniang's relationship, but also let Zuo Ziyan join his company and learn from him. He knew his daughter was born to enjoy life and would definitely not take over his company, so he would train his son-in-law to take over the company. When Zuo Ziyan and Niangniang got married, the three members of the Su family attended their wedding. Su Qingni saw Zuo Ziyan's attitude towards Niangniang and knew that he was sincere to Niangniang. Su Qingni had graduated from college, but she applied for a postgraduate degree and refused Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao's efforts to find a partner for her in the name of going to school. Su Qingni has been going to school and making money for these years, and she has more savings than Su Shitao and his wife. She planned that after graduating from graduate school, she would apply for a doctorate at a prestigious foreign university. While studying, she would find a surrogacy agency to give her two children, a boy and a girl, and bring them home so that Su Shitao and his wife could focus all their attention on their grandchildren. In a blink of an eye, 3 years later, Su Qingni has received an admission letter from a prestigious foreign university and is preparing to go abroad. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao were reluctant to let their daughter go too far away from them, but since it was related to their daughter's studies and future, they would not say anything no matter how reluctant they were. They carefully and meticulously helped their daughter prepare the gifts for going abroad. At this time, Niangniang came to the door. Niangniang was already 6 months pregnant. She had a big belly and her eyes were red from crying. She was holding a 2-year-old girl in her hand. She looked very pitiful. "What's wrong with you?" Su Qingni quickly brought her in and sat her down, and handed the little girl, who also had red and swollen eyes, to Aunt Shitao to take care of. Over the years, Niangniang has become a good friend of Su Qingni. Niangniang often invites Su Qingni to go shopping and go out to play together. When she has something on her mind, she will come to Su Qingni to talk and vent her depression. But it is the first time that she came to the door in such an embarrassing way as today. Niangniang had stopped crying, but when she heard Su Qingni's question, she started to cry again. "Ziyun wants to divorce me." Niangniang burst into tears. "How is it possible?" Su Qingni was surprised. "You have such a good relationship, and you are pregnant with his child now. How could he divorce you? Besides, your parents are still alive. Zuo Ziyun didn't get much of your family's money, and the company is still under the control of your father. How could Zuo Ziyun divorce you? Although he is not a bad person and has a conscience, he values his own interests. Divorcing you will not benefit him, so why should he divorce you?" Of course, Su Qingni would not say the latter sentence. Niangniang cried, but he changed his mind, suddenly changed his mind. He brought a woman home and said that it was his true love. He wanted to marry that woman and divorce me. True love or something. Su Qingni felt a toothache. Impossible? Zuo Ziyun's feelings for you are real, and they shouldn't change suddenly. Suddenly, a true love popped up. Is there any hidden story? Su Qingni asked. Niangniang stopped crying temporarily after hearing this, and looked at Su Qingni expectantly. Really? Is there really something hidden? Ziyun doesn't really love me anymore? He doesn't really want to divorce me. I'm just guessing. Su Qingni had never met Zuo Ziyun, so she naturally didn't know whether Zuo Ziyun really had a brain attack and fell in love. You know, sometimes the world she traveled to may have a plot, and the characters in the plot will be affected by the plot, and their IQ and mind will be affected. Just like she traveled to a world with the gods, and she had a god friend in that world, and because of the plot, he fell in love with a human girl and almost died. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 533 Phoenix Man's Eye. Niangniang's cell phone rang. She sobbed and opened her handbag. She took out the Niangniang which seemed very old-fashioned in Su Qingni's eyes and asked, "Hello? Who is this?" The words coming from the other side of the phone made Niangniang's face turn pale. Her right hand couldn't hold the phone steadily. The phone fell from her palm and was about to fall to the ground. Su Qingni quickly caught the phone and held it to her ear. Her 5 senses were sharp, and she heard clearly what the person on the other end of the phone said just now. "Excuse me, which hospital are Mr. and Mrs. Yun being sent to now?" Su Qingni asked the person on the other end of the phone. The person on the other end reported the address of the hospital. Su Qingni hung up the phone, pulled up Niangniang who started crying again, and dragged her out. "Don't cry, hurry to the hospital. Uncle and aunt are not dead, they are still in the hospital for rescue. You hurry to the hospital and pay for their surgery and rescue fees." Oh. Niangniang hurriedly followed Su Qingni out. She was completely at a loss. Niangniang, who had been spoiled since childhood and had never suffered a single setback, was completely at a loss at the moment, and had no one to rely on. Su Qingni took her to the hospital forcefully, and Niangniang became dependent on Su Qingni. The two got in a taxi and went all the way to the hospital. When they heard from the nurse that the Yun couple had been sent to the operating room, Niangniang immediately rushed to the operating room, but was stopped by the nurse. "Miss, don't leave yet. Pay the surgery fee, emergency fee, and hospitalization fee." Niangniang was in no mood to deal with the trivial matters here. Before the nurse finished speaking, she had already run away. Su Qingni smiled at the nurse and said, "Give me the bill." Su Qingni took the bill and paid the fee, then went to the operating room. Outside the operating room, there was not only Niangniang, but also 2 police officers in police uniforms. The police officers were talking to Niangniang, but the girl was in a trance and couldn't listen at all. Su Qingni walked forward, patted Niangniang on the shoulder, asked her to sit on a stool on the side, and communicated with a police uncle. "From the police, I learned that Yun's father and mother's car was hit head-on by an out-of-control car. The driver of the car died on the spot. Yun's father and mother were seriously injured and endangered their lives. Whether they can survive depends on the doctor's rescue. The results of the on-site investigation showed that the dead car driver was the main person in charge. From the clues, he deliberately drove the car to hit Yun's father and mother's car." The police uncles wanted to know from Niangniang what enemies Yun's father and mother had, and wanted to investigate why the driver wanted to commit suicide and hit Yun's father and mother's car. Did the driver have a grudge against the Yun family, or was he bribed by someone? Unfortunately, Niangniang didn't know anything, and the police uncle didn't ask anything from her. As far as Su Qingni knows, Yun's father and mother are relatively honest businessmen. Although it is inevitable to offend some people in business competition, they will not offend people to death and become enemies. No one should want them to die, right? Although Su Qingni thought so, she did not tell the police uncles about her judgment, so as not to mislead their investigation. Seeing Niangniang's current condition, the police uncle knew that he could not get anything out of her, so he stopped asking questions and sat aside waiting for the results of the operation. Su Qingni walked to Niangniang and sat down, waiting for the results with her. Niangniang's face was pale and she looked very bad. After more than half an hour, Niangniang suddenly groaned. Su Qingni hurried over and asked, "What's wrong?" "Qingni, my stomach hurts so much, it hurts so much." Niangniang touched her stomach and said painfully, "Oops, this is considered a fetal movement. But fortunately, this is a hospital." Su Qingni quickly called the nurse and asked the nurse to push a wheelchair and send Niangniang to the obstetrics and gynecology department. The doctor in the obstetrics and gynecology department quickly treated Niangniang. Su Qingni stood outside the emergency room and couldn't help sighing. Is the Yun family offended by the Taisui? The whole family went to the hospital for emergency treatment. She opened Niangniang's handbag, took out the Nongjiya from it, and called Zuo Ziyan. At this time, how could he, the son-in-law and husband, not show up? "What? Have you agreed to divorce?" Zuo Ziyan's impatient voice came from the phone. Su Qingni frowned and said, "Brother Ziyan, it's me." "Qingni?" Niangniang went to you to lobby. Su Qingni was about to answer when a woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Ziyan, who is it?" This voice is as beautiful as the cry of a yellow warbler. Just hearing this voice makes people imagine how beautiful the owner of the voice is. This is a beauty. Is Zuo Ziyan fascinated by beauty? "A sister from my hometown." Su Qingni heard Zuo Ziyan answer the woman. "Sister? Can it be a love sister?" The woman's voice was jealous. "No, I only have you as a love sister." Oh, Zuo Ziyan is so good at saying sweet words. No wonder he hooked up with Niangniang early in the morning, and now he hooked up with another woman. After listening to Zuo Ziyan's love words with a woman, Zuo Ziyan turned his attention back to Su Qingni. "Qingni, if you want to help Niangniang as a lobbyist, then there is no need. I have made up my mind to divorce her." Zuo Ziyan said. "I am not here to lobby." Su Qingni's voice became cold. "I am telling you that your father-in-law and mother-in-law had a car accident and are now in the operating room for rescue. Your wife was stimulated and had a miscarriage, and now she is in the emergency room. You and Niangniang have not divorced yet, her parents are still your parents-in-law, and she is pregnant with your child. At this time, you, as a son-in-law and a husband, should come to the hospital to fulfill your responsibilities, instead of being irresponsibly with another woman. Zuo Ziyan, in my impression, you don't seem like an irresponsible person. Now, is your brain eaten away by the so-called true love?" Su Qingni's words were very impolite, making those who heard it very angry. And under this anger, there was a trace of clarity in his heart. "Okay, I'll come right over. Which hospital are they in now?" Zuo Ziyan asked. Su Qingni reported the name of the hospital, and the person on the other end of the phone hung up. Zuo Ziyan hung up the phone and said to the woman beside him, "Qingni is right, I haven't divorced Niangniang yet, her parents and the baby in her belly are still my responsibility, I have to go to the hospital." "Yingying, You wait for me at home. I will come back to accompany you after I finish dealing with the hospital's affairs. Don't worry, I will definitely divorce Niangniang and marry you. No rush. The woman Xia Yingying was as beautiful as Su Qingni guessed, and her charm was different from that of a Han girl. You take your time to deal with the Yun family's affairs. I will always wait for you. Chapter 534 Phoenix Man's Eye. Take your time to deal with the Yun family's affairs. I will always be waiting for you. The beautiful girl smiled like a flower, her face full of sympathy and heartache for Zuo Ziyan, which moved Zuo Ziyan deeply, but he didn't know what was in the woman's heart. The two old men of the Yun family were not dead yet, and Zuo Ziyan had not yet obtained the property of the Yun family. Naturally, she could not let Zuo Ziyan divorce Niangniang now. Moreover, she had never thought of letting Zuo Ziyan and Niangniang divorce. Her plan was to let the three members of the Yun family die. The two old men died in a car accident, and Niangniang died of miscarriage or dystocia. At that time, the assets of the Yun family would fall into Zuo Ziyan's hands. She would marry Zuo Ziyan again. She liked Zuo Ziyan very much, but she also liked money. Zuo Ziyan should thank her, for she made Zuo Ziyan gain love and wealth. From then on, she would live happily with Zuo Ziyan for the rest of her life. She would give birth to their own children with Zuo Ziyan, and the daughter born by Niangniang. Haha, don't be too surprised if the child died prematurely due to an accident. Ziyan, I'll go to the hospital with you and I can help you by the way. Xia Yingying followed Zuo Ziyan. Okay. Zuo Ziyan felt that his lover was so kind and beautiful, and so considerate of him. With a wife like this, what else could a husband ask for? The two got into Zuo Ziyan's car. This car was bought by Niangniang for Zuo Ziyan, and now he used it to pick up his mistress. Ziyan, do you have a good relationship with Qingni? Does she even know Niangniang? Xia Yingying asked casually. Zuo Ziyan had no romantic feelings for Su Qingni, so he didn't think Xia Yingying would be jealous of Su Qingni, and answered, Qingni is the daughter of Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao, and their family are all my benefactors. Back then, my stepmother and my brother wanted to sell me to Fu as a husband, and I ran to the Su family, saying that I would be their son-in-law, and only asked them to support me to go to college. However, Qingni rejected me, but they still lent me money, so that I could escape from the village and go to college in Beijing. This is how I am today. I am very grateful to the Su family. Zuo Ziyan said that he was grateful to the Su family, but the woman next to him focused on the fact that Zuo Ziyan almost became Su Qingni's live-in husband. Zuo Ziyan was hers, and no woman could ever dream of getting Zuo Ziyan. Even if she didn't get him, she couldn't even think of him. Su Qingni? Humph, since you have such a good relationship with Niangniang, then you should be Niangniang's companion. There was a flash of murderous intent in Xia Yingying's eyes. When they arrived at the hospital, Zuo Ziyan came to the door of the emergency room, saw Su Qingni, and introduced his beloved girl to Su Qingni. Su Qingni frowned. His wife was pregnant in the emergency room, and he brought the mistress with him. What did Zuo Ziyan want to do? To stimulate Niangniang's fetal movement to be stronger, or even die from miscarriage? When did this person become such a scumbag? Su Qingni didn't like this woman named Xia Yingying, not because she was a mistress, but because this person gave her a very bad feeling. Although Xia Yingying was very beautiful, she gave Su Qingni a gloomy feeling. Hello, my name is Xia Yingying. Xia Yingying extended her right hand to Su Qingni. Su Qingni extended her right hand to shake hands with Xia Yingying. Since she had already taken the initiative, she couldn't not extend her hand. This was basic etiquette. But after shaking hands, Su Qingni felt a slight pain in the palm of her hand. The pain was very light, and ordinary people could not feel it. Only people with keen five senses like Su Qingni could feel it. Su Qingni pretended not to notice Xia Yingying's little action and retracted her hand. Qingni, I'll guard here, you go to the operating room and help me keep an eye on my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Zuo Ziyan said. I'll wait here, you go to the operating room. Su Qingni said. You must be joking. If Zuo Ziyan is left at the door of the emergency room, the mistress Xia Yingying will definitely stay as well. Niangniang was cured by the doctor, but when she came out of the emergency room, she saw her husband standing outside the emergency room with the mistress. She must have been stimulated to go to the emergency room again. Zuo Ziyan didn't care and took Xia Yingying to the operating room. Before leaving, Xia Yingying took a deep look at Su Qingni. The pride in her eyes was clearly visible. Her eyes seemed to regard Su Qingni as a dead person. Su Qingni frowned, and when the two figures disappeared, Su Qingni sat on the chair, closed her eyes and began to check her body. Inch, inch, inch. Finally, Su Qingni found it. There was a small black spot near her heart. Others didn't know what it was, but Su Qingni knew that it was a goo worm, a dormant goo worm. When the owner of the goo worm urged it, it would crawl into Su Qingni's heart and kill Su Qingni. After the death, the forensic doctor could not find any problems at all, and could only conclude that Su Qingni died of a sudden heart attack. Su Qingni couldn't help laughing. In the previous world, she was a goo woman who used goo insects to intimidate the entire martial arts world. Unexpectedly, in the next world, she actually met another goo woman and was plotted against by her. This goo woman was also a bad-hearted goo woman. A kind-hearted goo woman would not use goo magic to harm people. Only evil people would use goo magic to harm people. She finally understood why Zuo Ziyun suddenly changed. Love goo. It's not the love goo of that world, it should be the love goo unique to this world. The love goo in the previous world would only kill the party who betrayed the feelings, and the other party would be buried with him. It was a deterrent goo insect, and the love goo in this world, maybe it's the same as the love goo that Su Qingni saw in the novel, which can manipulate the person who is goo to like the person who puts the goo on him, and be loyal to him and obedient. Of course, this is just Su Qingni's guess. To know whether it is true or not, Su Qingni still needs to find an opportunity to explore Zuo Ziyun's body. The most important thing now is to get rid of this goo insect in the body. This is very simple. For Su Qingni, who had played with poisonous insects all her life in her previous life, getting rid of a small insect is very simple. Once the poisonous insect is removed, the person who put the poison on her will be attacked. Xia Yingying, who was sitting outside the operating room with Zuo Ziyun, screamed and spit out a mouthful of blood. Zuo Ziyun was shocked and quickly hugged Xia Yingying, asking repeatedly, "Yingying, what's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly spit out blood? Is there something wrong with your body? Nurse, nurse." Zuo Ziyun called the nurse for help, and the nurse arrived soon, asking Zuo Ziyun to pick up Xia Yingying and go to the emergency room with her. Xia Yingying knew that she was attacked, and the doctor could not cure her injury. She wanted to refuse to go to the emergency room with Zuo Ziyun, but she only spit out another mouthful of blood and fell into coma. Zuo Ziyun panicked, and regardless of his father-in-law and mother-in-law in the operating room, he picked up Xia Yingying and rushed to the emergency room. Chapter 535 Phoenix Man 13. Su Qingni could no longer count on Zuo Ziyun, as he was now wholeheartedly staying by the side of his true love, not going anywhere and not caring about anything. Su Qingni could not take care of 3 patients alone, so she could only call Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao, asking them to rush to the hospital and wait for the Yun couple to come out of the operating room. Yun Yannian came out of the emergency room, and the child was saved. Su Qingni completed the hospitalization procedures for her. Yun Yannian was in a coma, so Su Qingni called Aunt Shitao to take care of Yun Yannian, and she and Su Shitao waited for the operation to end. Fortunately, the Yun couple were rescued and did not die, but they were sent to the intensive care unit for observation. When and whether they can leave the intensive care unit are both problems. Aunt Shitao sighed, how could such a good family become like this? Su Shitao also sighed, there are unexpected events in life. A good family is almost broken up because of a car accident. By the way, where's Ziyun? His father-in-law, mother-in-law and wife are all in the hospital, why didn't he show up? He is accompanying his mistress. Of course, Su Qingni would not say this. He has other things to do and can't take care of Uncle Yun, Aunt Yun and Yannian, so I asked you to come and help. Is Yun on a business trip? Su Shitao guessed, he's out of town, no wonder he can't make it back. Aunt Shitao stood up and said to her husband and daughter, you stay in the hospital to look after Yannian and the others, I will go home and stew chicken soup for Yannian to drink when she wakes up. Su Qingni, Dad, you go back with Mom. You have been in the hospital for so long, you are too tired, go back and rest. I am enough in the hospital. How can you take care of 3 people by yourself? Su Shitao did not leave. Su Qingni, Uncle Yun and Aunt Yun are in the intensive care unit. There are nurses watching them all the time. I don't need to take care of them. I just need to look after Yannian. I'll go hire a nurse to help me later. That costs money. Su Qingni, is our family short of money? Well, their family is now considered rich. Although they are not extremely rich, they are content with a small fortune. Because of the demolition, the family now has 3 houses and 2 shops. The embroidery ornaments they make every year continue to bring wealth to the family. His daughter can also make money, and the amount she earns is no less than that of him and his wife. Their family is really not short of money. Okay, I'll go and hire a nurse for you. Su Qingni decided to find an honest and hard-working nurse himself. Su Qingni didn't argue with Su Qingni. She stayed by Niangniang's side. Niangniang should be waking up soon. After about 20 minutes, Niangniang woke up. Su Qingni immediately told her that the Yun family couple was not dead, but she only said that the operation was successful, and did not say that the 2 were still in the intensive care unit. Niangniang felt relieved when she heard this, and tears began to fall again. My parents and I are like this, but Ziyun didn't come to see us. He is determined to divorce me. Niangniang cried. Why did he suddenly become so cold and heartless? Don't cry, it's not good for the baby in your belly. Su Qingni persuaded Niangniang. But Niangniang was immersed in the sadness that Ziyun didn't want her, and she couldn't persuade him at all. She also said that the father of the child didn't want them, so why let the child be born to suffer with her and be a child without a father? Su Qingni couldn't stand the crying, so she simply pressed Niangniang's sleeping point and let her sleep. When the nurse hired by Su Qingni arrived, she handed Niangniang to the nurse to take care of her and ran to find Ziyun, wanting to quickly find out whether Ziyun had a goo worm in his body and whether he was controlled by Niangniang. If it is true, help Ziyun get rid of the poisonous insect and restore himself, and let him come to the hospital to persuade his wife. Su Qingni asked the nurse. Niangniang woke up after the emergency treatment. She was stubborn and wanted to leave the hospital. The doctor could not find out what was wrong with her body, so he agreed to let her leave. Su Qingni took out her mobile phone and called Ziyun. After the call was connected, she immediately asked, "Where are you now?" Ziyun reported the address. It seemed that he did not know that Niangniang had plotted against Su Qingni. Su Qingni put down the phone and rushed to where Ziyun was. Ziyun bought a house to accommodate Niangniang. The house has 2 bedrooms and a living room. It is not big, but Ziyun himself does not have much money, and it is only enough to buy such a big house. Su Qingni knocked on the door and Ziyun came to open the door. Su Qingni asked as soon as she entered the door, "Where's Niangniang?" Niangniang is resting in the room. She vomited blood today. She is not in good health and needs to rest well. I am making tonic soup for Niangniang. Ziyun replied. Su Qingni looked and saw that Ziyun was still wearing an apron. You are really Niangniang's lackey. Su Qingni said. Ziyun's face changed. How can you talk like that? Ziyun thought that Su Qingni came to trouble him and Niangniang because of Niangniang, and snorted, "Qingni, go away. I don't want to hear you insult me and Niangniang. Go back and tell Niangniang that I must divorce her." Su Qingni chuckled twice, and suddenly stretched out her hand to control Ziyun and pressed him down on the sofa. "You, what are you doing?" Ziyun shouted. Su Qingni directly pressed Ziyun's mute point. In Ziyun's horrified eyes, Su Qingni walked to the door of Niangniang's bedroom, opened the door, and looked at the woman inside. The woman lying on the bed was pale, still in a coma, and was not awakened by Ziyun shouting. Su Qingni walked over, moved like the wind, and pressed the woman's acupoint. The woman will not be able to move for at least 3 hours. After doing all this, Su Qingni returned to the living room and sat opposite Ziyun. Ziyun's eyes were filled with shock and fear, and his face was full of disbelief. He never knew that his little sister, who had always been so delicate and dainty, actually had such extraordinary abilities. What was Su Qingni going to do? Was she going to kill him and Niangniang to avenge Niangniang? How could she? Exclamation mark. He and Niangniang were just in love, and they hadn't done anything that was harmful to the world, so how could she kill them? Besides, his relationship with Su Qingni should be better, right? Why didn't Su Qingni help him but Niangniang? Su Qingni didn't know what Ziyun was thinking, so she grabbed one of Ziyun's hands and checked his body. After a very careful inspection, Su Qingni finally found the goo worm in Ziyun's head. You were controlled by the goo worm, so you thought you were in love with Niangniang. Su Qingni said to Ziyun. Ziyun didn't believe it. Su Qingni spoke with facts. She took out the golden needles she had brought with her, inserted them into the acupuncture points on Ziyun's head, and injected power. Ziyun suddenly had a splitting headache. If Su Qingni hadn't pressed his acupuncture points, he would have screamed out loud and rolled on the ground holding his head. Chapter 536 Phoenix Man 14. Zhuo Ziyun was in great pain. His whole body was soaked with sweat as if he had fallen into water. Su Qingni watched Zhuo Ziyun's reaction quietly, and suddenly, she grabbed Zhuo Ziyun's left hand and cut his ring finger. A pink flesh worm crawled out of the wound. Su Qingni picked up the pink flesh worm with 2 fingers and squeezed it hard. The flesh worm was squeezed into meat paste, and a shrill scream came from the bedroom. Su Qingni ignored the person in the bedroom. The man suffered a backlash and his body was severely damaged. He could no longer do anything to hurt others, let alone escape. Su Qingni reached out to untie Zhuo Ziyun's acupuncture points. Zhuo Ziyun gasped for breath and sat up slowly from the sofa after a long time. He said with a bitter smile, "So I was really controlled by someone. Is the pink worm the thing that controls me?" Su Qingni nodded. "That's the love poison. If you are poisoned by the love poison, you will fall in love with the person who poisoned you, obey him her every word, and wish to give all the good things to that person." Zhuo Ziyun's face darkened when he heard this. "What's the difference between this and being a puppet?" "Hateful," Zhuo Ziyun said hatefully. He no longer had any love for Xia Yingying, and was full of anger and resentment. "By the way, how is Niangniang? Is the baby in her belly okay?" Zhuo Ziyun thought of his wife and asked with concern. "Not very well, she is very sad. Her parents had a car accident, and you are divorcing her. She is sad and heartbroken, and there are signs of miscarriage." Su Qingni said. "I'll go see her." Zhuo Ziyun stood up. "I won't divorce Niangniang. That's not my intention. I want to explain it clearly." Su Qingni pointed to the bedroom and asked, "What are you going to do with the woman in the bedroom?" Zhuo Ziyun knew that the woman in the bedroom and Su Qingni in front of him were not ordinary people. He, an ordinary person, couldn't deal with Xia Yingying. It would be better to leave it to Su Qingni, a fellow villager who was hiding her depths. "Leave it to you to deal with it," Zhuo Ziyun said, and then asked worriedly, "Will it not? Will it be involved in a murder case?" Su Qingni laughed and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill anyone." The woman in the bedroom was bitten by the goo worm twice, and the love goo seemed to be her life goo. This time, she was bitten back and lost 70% of her life. She won't live long. If her goo technique is abolished, even if Xia Yingying is released, this woman will not be able to harm people anymore. Zhuo Ziyun was relieved, picked up the car keys on the coffee table, ran out of the house quickly, and went to the hospital. Su Qingni pushed open the bedroom door and looked at the woman on the bed. The woman had woken up from her coma, but she couldn't move because Su Qingni had pressed her acupuncture points. Blood kept flowing from the corners of her mouth. Her beautiful face, which was originally in her early 20s, suddenly aged by 50 or 60 years, and turned into an old woman with a hideous and terrifying face. "How old are you actually?" Su Qingni couldn't help but ask curiously. Xia Yingying stared at Su Qingni with hatred and didn't answer her question at all. Su Qingni chuckled, "Do you think I don't know if you don't answer? If you want to know a person's real age, you can also look at the bone age." Su Qingni grabbed one of Xia Yingying's arms and observed the bones inside the wrinkled arm. After a moment, he threw away Xia Yingying's arm and said, "So you are almost 50 years old. Then you and Zhuo Ziyun are together, aren't you an old cow eating young grass?" Xia Yingying was so angry that she spit out a large mouthful of blood. "Who are you? How can you break my witchcraft?" Xia Yingying questioned. Su Qingni said, "I am just an ordinary person who was secretly harmed. If you hadn't tried to kill me, how could I have killed the poisonous insect and let you be attacked? Fuck ordinary people. How could ordinary people know the art of poison? How could they break the art of poison?" She was too complacent, thinking that in the last days of the Dharma, many inheritances had disappeared and there were no masters among mortals. She didn't expect to hide a wall. "Kill me, kill me," Xia Yingying shouted. She must be so ugly now that people would not recognize her as a ghost. She didn't want to be seen and despised by others with dishonor. She would rather die. Su Qingni sneered, "If I don't kill you, you won't live long." Xia Yingying was silent. The vitality in her body was rapidly lost, and she really couldn't live long. Su Qingni stepped forward, her eyes pressed against Xia Yingying's eyes. Her eyes were full of light, deep and mysterious, like a deep ancient pool, attracting people's souls. Su Qingni's voice became soft as cotton, and it made people feel very comfortable when it entered people's ears. "Tell me, Was it you who caused the car accident of Yun Yannian's parents? Yes, it was me. Xia Yingying answered with a dull look in her eyes. They died, and the Yun family's property could become Zuo Ziyan's. From Xia Yingying's answer, Su Qingni knew all of Xia Yingying's calculations. Xia Yingying was a Miao girl who practiced Gu magic since she was a child. After she mastered Gu magic at the age of 18, she thought she had already mastered it and was very powerful, but for Su Qingni, her Gu magic was not as good as Su Qingni's apprentice in her previous life. In her previous life, Su Qingni's apprentice's Gu magic at the age of 12 could kill Xia Yingying in seconds. Xia Yingying left the mountains. After seeing a prosperity that was completely different from the depths of the mountains, Xia Yingying fell in love with money and enjoyment. But how could she, a woman without a background, get money? How could she enjoy a rich life? Xia Yingying set her sights on those rich and powerful men. She uses love to control the man she likes, making him love her wholeheartedly, offering her all the good things, and letting her enjoy the rich life provided by the man. Xia Yingying likes beauty. The men she chooses are handsome and young, and she doesn't like old men and ugly men. But young men are not richer than old men, so she uses other magic to kill old men and let young men inherit the old men's money. When the young man is old and not as handsome as when he was young, Xia Yingying will abandon that person without hesitation and look for a new target again. Zuo Ziyun is Xia Yingying's fifth target. Zuo Ziyun is young and promising, handsome, and although he has no money, his wife's family is rich. So Xia Yingying planted love for Zuo Ziyun, making Zuo Ziyun fall in love with her. Zuo Ziyun wants to divorce his wife for true love. But if he and Yun Yannian really divorce, the Yun family's wealth will not become Zuo Ziyun's, and Xia Yingying will not be able to enjoy it. Xia Yingying decided to kill Yun's father and mother first, and then kill Yun Yannian before Zuo Ziyun and Yun Yannian divorced, so that Zuo Ziyun could take over the Yun family's company as Yun's son-in-law and take over the Yun family's huge wealth. Chapter 537 Phoenix Man 15. The driver of the car that hit Yun's father and mother was innocent. He was randomly selected by Xia Yingying, who planted a Gu worm in him to control his actions and let him drive the car to hit Yun's father and mother's car. Yun's father and mother did not die, but the driver did. It can be said that he was the most innocent person in the whole incident. Xia Yingying planned that Yun's father and mother died in the car accident, causing Yun Yannian to be stimulated and miscarry. She then put a Gu worm in Yun Yannian's body to make her die of hemorrhage. All three people in the Yun family died, and Zuo Ziyun had not divorced Yun Yannian yet, so everything in the Yun family belonged to Zuo Ziyun. Zuo Ziyun was her slave, so naturally everything in the Yun family was hers. Xia Yingying had calculated well, but she didn't know that there was an additional master she didn't know at all. Su Qingni. She went to the hospital with Zuo Ziyun to attack Yun's father, Yun's mother and Yun Yannian, and let the three of them die in the intensive care unit and miscarry. Anyway, entering the intensive care unit is not completely safe. Anything can happen, right? But unexpectedly, Zuo Ziyun not only had Yun Yannian as his wife, but also Su Qingni, who almost married him. Xia Yingying had a strong desire to monopolize her things and people. She was angry that Zuo Ziyun almost became the son-in-law of the Su family. Seeing that Zuo Ziyun and Su Qingni had a good relationship until now, she was resentful of Su Qingni and wanted to kill her. Xia Yingying put a Gu on Su Qingni and wanted her to die. Unexpectedly, Su Qingni was a master of Gu. She noticed Xia Yingying's actions at the first time, found the Gu worm in her body, and killed it, causing Xia Yingying to suffer a backlash, so that she had no chance to attack Yun's father, Yun's mother, and Yun Yannian. Su Qingni suspected that Zuo Ziyun was also Gu because of the existence of the Gu worm, so she ran to Zuo Ziyun to help him remove the love Gu in his body, and Xia Yingying suffered a backlash again. Xia Yingying has always used love Gu to control men, so she refined the love Gu into her own life Gu worm. The love Gu in Zuo Ziyun's body was crushed by Su Qingni, and Xia Yingying suffered a more severe backlash than before, so that she could not use the Gu worm to maintain her youthful beauty. The maternal love Gu ran rampant in her body, causing her internal organs to be injured, and other Gu worms also went out of control, making her injuries worse and consuming a lot of her vitality. Once her vitality is consumed, Xia Yingying will not survive. In this regard, Su Qingni gave a comment, "It's what you deserve. It's your own fault." She doesn't need to ask Xia Yingying about her other men. "I'm afraid these men have died a long time ago. Poor. Even if they die, they will bear the stigma of scumbags." Su Qingni's move was as fast as lightning and destroyed Xia Yingying's danchan. Now even if she can still use ordinary methods to refine goo worms, she can't refine powerful goo worms, let alone put goo worms into her danchan and control them. Xia Yingying is completely useless. Su Qingni didn't worry that she would hurt others again, so she directly carried her out of Zhuo Ziyun's apartment and threw her out. Of course, if you can avoid people, you should avoid them, so as not to get a bad reputation for disrespecting the elderly. After leaving the person behind, Su Qingni took a car to the hospital. When she arrived at the hospital, Su Qingni saw the nurse sitting outside the ward. The nurse saw Su Qingni coming and smiled at her. "Miss Su, don't go in yet. The young couple inside are talking about their feelings." Su Qingni smiled and walked to the nurse and sat down. The nurse was a middle-aged woman in her 40s, who liked to share gossip with others. She smiled and told Su Qingni about what happened after Zhuo Ziyun came to the hospital. Miss Yun started crying when she woke up, and no matter how I tried to persuade her, she wouldn't stop. Then she showed up. As soon as her husband came in, he hugged Miss Yun and apologized to her repeatedly, saying that he had his own difficulties and didn't want to divorce Miss Yun. Miss Yun stopped crying when she heard that her husband was not going to divorce her. Then her husband asked me to leave the ward, and the couple talked quietly in the ward. Miss Yun's complexion was getting better and better, with a smile on her face, and she was very close to her husband. Oh my, others were so envious. Su Qingni thought Zhuo Ziyun should have explained Xia Yingying's matter to Yun Yannian, and Yun Yannian would ask her for confirmation later. But when she entered the ward, Yun Yannian only greeted her happily, leaning on Zhuo Ziyun's chest, looking happy and sweet, and did not ask Su Qingni for confirmation. This shows that she trusts Zhuo Ziyun very much. She believes everything he says, right? It was Zhuo Ziyun who took the initiative to ask about Xia Yingying. Su Qingni said, "Don't worry, she won't disturb your life anymore. I have abolished her witchcraft, and she can no longer control the witchcraft to do evil. And she has done what she deserved, and she will not live long." Zhuo Ziyun heaved a sigh of relief when he heard this. He was afraid that Su Qingni would commit a crime by killing Xia Yingying, and he was also afraid that Su Qingni would let Xia Yingying go, because Xia Yingying had always coveted him and hurt the Yun family. It's best now, Su Qingni won't be involved in a murder case for helping him, and he can get rid of Xia Yingying. Su Qingni only talked about Xia Yingying's plan for Zhuo Ziyun and the Yun family, and didn't say that she had used the same method to harm 4 men and their families before, lest Zhuo Ziyun know Xia Yingying's real age and couldn't bear it. The most innocent person in this matter is not you, but the car driver. Yannian, don't blame the driver for hitting your parents, because the driver was controlled by Xia Yingying, and the driver also paid with his life. Su Qingni said. Yun Yannian was stunned and hated Xia Yingying so much that she wanted to catch her and skin her alive. However, after listening to Su Qingni's words, her resentment towards the driver because of her parents' injuries disappeared. Thinking about it, it was right that the driver was the most innocent and pitiful person in this matter. Yun Yannian turned to Zhuo Ziyun and said, "Ziyun, please help me find out if the driver has any other family members, give them more compensation, and help them if you can." Zhuo Ziyun nodded in agreement. Xia Yingying's matter was settled. Yun's father and mother passed a critical period and gradually recovered, and Yun Yannian gave birth to a son. Both children took Yun Yannian's surname. 5 years later, Yun Yannian became pregnant with her 3rd child and gave birth to a son, and then took Zhuo Ziyun's surname. Zhuo Ziyun, the Phoenix Man, is a typical good man. He respects his father-in-law and mother-in-law, loves his wife and children, and did not change his name after accepting the Yun family enterprise, turning the Yun family enterprise into the Zhuo family enterprise. He is outstanding in ability and has expanded the Yun family enterprise tenfold. He is a very successful entrepreneur. But he did not have the bad habits of other rich men. He did not have a mistress or even a casual affair. At the age of 55, he handed over the business to his son, announced his retirement, and traveled around the world with his wife. His wife can be regarded as the happiest woman in the world and is the object of jealousy for many women. Chapter 538, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Su Qingni had been an old man once, and this time she was an old man again, not really an old man. The original incarnation was not very old, just in her early 40s, she was very calm. However, this time the original incarnation was quite pitiful, and neither the family conditions nor the physical conditions could be compared with the old Su in his previous life. Although the old Su was not young in his previous life and his health was not very good, at least he was in good health, and he recovered his health with Chinese medicine. And although the old Su did not have much money, he had a pension every month, so he was not short of money at all. And what about the original owner now? He was a disabled person with broken legs, and his family was very poor, living in a slum, and could only eat white rice with kimchi every day, and at most a vegetable leaf soup. The vegetable leaves were not bought, but picked up by the original owner's daughter at the vegetable market. The original owner had a wife, but after the original owner's legs were broken, the original owner's wife could not stand the poor life at home, and could not stand making money to support the family and take care of a disabled person, so she tricked the original owner into signing a divorce agreement and ran away. The original owner had always believed in his wife and had never thought that his wife would trick him into signing a divorce agreement. When his wife left one of the divorce agreements and ran away, the original owner was hit hard. His body was already weak, and his spirit could not bear it. He died just like that, and Fang let Su Qingni enter his body. Su Qingni. Su Qingni touched her face. This world is a modern world. Above the scientific view, the rules of heaven and earth cannot be used to practice internal skills, and even health-preserving skills cannot be practiced. If you can't practice health-preserving skills, the two legs of the original body will not be able to recover completely. External martial arts can be practiced, and other skills that surpass ordinary people cannot be used. However, Su Qingni learned some secrets from the rules of heaven and earth, which is the so-called plot. It turned out that the original body she traveled through was a cannon fodder passerby, and her daughter and son were the supporting roles of other people's stories, and they were the existence of the protagonists of other people. After reading the experience of her daughter and son in the plot, Su Qingni twitched her mouth. Is this the plot of a Korean drama? Damn, it's too bloody. Humph, now that he is the father of 2 children, he will definitely not let the 2 children become like in the plot. He will teach the 2 children well, cultivate them to become talents, and let them become the protagonists of their own stories. The door was pushed open, and a 13 or 14-year-old girl walked into the room with a tray. On the tray were a bowl of rice, a dish of vegetables and a bowl of soup. Su Qingni didn't need to look carefully to know that the vegetable was spicy cabbage and the soup was vegetable soup. Every meal was like this. A patient could not get nutrition from eating these foods, and 2 children could not get nutrition from eating these foods. Dad, it's time to eat. The girl put the tray in front of Su Qingni and sat opposite Su Qingni. Dad, I don't want to go to school. The girl said, I met a scout on the road. He said that my image is very good and wanted me to shoot TV. Dad, I will have money if I shoot TV, and I don't have to worry about my brother's tuition. No. Su Qingni stopped the girl firmly. You are still young, the most important thing is to study hard. Su Qingni did not agree with the girl to shoot TV. The company that hired the girl to make a movie is not a good entertainment company. They are very harsh on their artists and force them to work hard. They want to take 90% of the money earned by the artists, and the artists can only get 10%. They will also force the artists to company drinking and force them to do some dirty things. According to the setting in the plot, the girl entered this company to support her family and signed a 10-year contract with the company. She was exploited by the company for 10 years and was forced to do many things she didn't want to do during the period, which made the girl feel that she was dirty. Under the arrogant and confident appearance of the girl is a deep inferiority complex. 10 years later, the girl left the company, but many of her black histories are still in the hands of the company, and she can't get rid of the company completely. In the plot, the girl met a tall, handsome and rich male protagonist and wanted to live a good life with him. But the company threatened the girl with her black history, so the girl had to break up with the male protagonist first, and then pretended to be a snake with the company, and used some illegal means to get rid of those who knew her black history in the company. When the girl dealt with the scum of the company and went to find the hero already had the heroine, a kind, lively and strong-willed girl. The girl Su Yamai was very angry and jealous of the heroine, and framed her in various ways, wanting her to leave the hero, but because of the plot, she never succeeded and was rejected by the hero. The hero and the heroine investigated the cause of death of several senior executives of the entertainment company, revealed that Su Yamai was the murderer, and sent Su Yamai to prison. Su Yamai left sadly. Thinking of the plot, Su Qingni twitched her lips again and said to Su Yamai, Yamai, the entertainment industry is very dark. If you, a person without any background and backing, go in, you will be eaten to the bone. How can it be so exaggerated? Su Qingni didn't believe it, and said, Dad, our family has no money. My brother and I have no tuition for school. If I don't go to make money, my brother can't go to school. I will solve the tuition problem. Su Qingni frowned and said seriously, promise Dad that you will not agree to that scout and sign a contract with their company. Do you understand? But how can Dad make money like this? Su Qingni didn't believe that Su Qingni could make money. Su Qingni pointed to the corner and said, you lift the tatami over there. There's a loose wooden board underneath. You open the wooden board and take out the box underneath. Su Qingni widened her eyes in surprise. Did her father have any hidden things? She immediately ran to the corner to lift the tatami, and was glad that her father didn't tell her mother about the family's secrets. Otherwise, the last valuable things in the house would be taken away by her mother. The girl was resentful of her mother who left her father and her brother alone. What she hated most was that when her mother left, she took away her father's compensation money, and did not leave them anything. Was she going to starve her father and her brother to death? Did her mother treat her and her brother as her own children? The girl took out an old box from under the floor. The box was not locked, and Su Qingni opened it easily. The girl's hopeful eyes dimmed. There was no gold, silver, jewelry or cash in the box, only a gray ring. There were no gems on it, and it looked worthless. Su Qingni took out the ring and said to the girl, take the ring and. Su Qingni gave an address and said to the girl, return the ring to the owner of this house and ask them for 5 million won. Chapter 539, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder too. 5 million. Su Qingni was so shocked that she stuttered. 5 million. Such a large sum of money. With 5 million, her and her brother's tuition fees would be solved, and the family's conditions would be improved. They would no longer have to eat only rice and kimchi, and there would be extra money for her father's leg treatment. The little girl imagined it, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. Su Qingni sighed for the poverty of this family. However, a mere 5 million was an astronomical figure for the little girl. After the little girl imagined it, she retracted her thoughts and was surprised. Dad, what's the matter with this ring? What is the relationship between that family and our family? Why can we ask them for money with this ring? Finally thinking of the key to the problem, Su Qingni pulled out a bitter smile and sighed. That's my family. Family. The little girl was shocked. Since Dad has a family and relatives, it doesn't sound like he has no money. Why is Dad so miserable? So poor? If Dad had asked his family to help him find a good job earlier, instead of working as a laborer on the construction site, he wouldn't have broken his leg. Su Qingni said, I am just an illegitimate child of the Su family. My family doesn't recognize me. It's just because of my bloodline that they gave me this ring as a token. It can meet one of my requests. Su Qingni reached out and touched the little girl's hair, sighing, don't blame your father for not finding the ring earlier, which made you and Yazai suffer a lot. It's really not glorious to be an illegitimate child. People in my family look down on me. Unless I'm at my wit's end, I really don't want to go to my family to beg them. The little girl Su Qingni didn't blame her father. She also understood that the status of illegitimate children was very low and was not welcomed by society. If she hadn't proposed not to go to school, and if her father hadn't been for her future, I'm afraid he would never have taken out this token. Su Qingni put the ring in the little girl's palm and said to her, I'm sorry for asking you to make this trip. No, I'm sorry. The little girl shook her head again and again. The little girl waited for Su Qingni to finish her meal, took the tray out of the room, washed the dishes, told her brother, and went out. The original body's son Su Yaxi was 10 years old. He was a child who was a little heartless. His mother ran away, which made the child grow up a lot. He became a lot more gloomy and didn't like to talk, especially to the original body. However, the child was very obedient. He did whatever his sister told him to do. He brought his school bag to Su Qingni's room, sat at a small table beside him to do his homework, and took care of Su Qingni. If Su Qingni wanted to drink water or something, Su Yaxi would help run errands. Su Qingni closed her eyes to rest. The starting conditions were too bad, and he didn't know what to do now. What this family lacks most now is money, and the most important thing for her is to make money. 5 million will not last long, and she can't live off it. But how to make money? Hacker? The internet is just emerging now, and there will definitely not be many people looking for hackers to do business. It is not known whether there is such a dark web. Make programs? In other words, The internet and computers are just emerging, and there are some restrictions in this industry. Moreover, the original owner was just a laborer who entered the society after graduating from high school and did the lowest level of work. He had never even touched a computer. Suddenly he could make computer programs. Isn't this suspicious? How to make money? Buy food? Write scripts? This is a plot in many Korean drama fanfictions that Su Qingni has seen. Yes, it does work. Su Qingni rejected the first option. Selling food is too tiring. She is now a disabled person. It is not convenient to sell food. Then the only option is to write scripts. Su Qingni is good at this. In several worlds, Su Qingni has been in the entertainment industry, written scripts, and won the Best Screenplay Award at domestic and foreign film festivals. This option is ticked. What other ways to make money? Carving? The original body has learned carpentry, and his skills are just ordinary, but some of the furniture in the house were made by the original body himself, and the two children also know that he can do this. Carving technology is related to carpentry. Su Qingni's current physical condition does not allow her to make large furniture, but she can make some carved boxes and small ornaments and sell them. With her craftsmanship, she can still sell them for a good price. This one is also checked. It's a pity that with her original identity, she would never do women's work, otherwise she could embroider a few fine pieces and sell them as ornaments, and the price would be even higher. Su Qingni thought of many ways to make money, but excluding the limitations of her original education level and her disabled body, she only had two options left, writing scripts and carving. Just as she was thinking, she heard sobbing sounds in her ears. Su Qingni opened her eyes, but saw her youngest son crying while doing his homework. Su Qingni asked, "What's wrong? Are there any questions you don't understand?" Su Yaxi looked up at Su Qingni and nodded. Su Qingni knew that the child was thinking of his biological mother. Usually, the child would ask his sister and his biological mother to explain questions he didn't understand. Su Qingni waved to him and said, "Bring your homework book here, I'll explain it to you." Su Yaxi hesitated. Doesn't Dad know how to explain the questions? Doesn't Mom always say that Dad is uneducated and can only do hard labor? Doesn't an uneducated dad understand the contents of the textbook? Su Qingni said, "Why don't you come over yet? Do you look down on Dad?" Su Yaxi hurriedly ran to Su Qingni with a textbook and homework book. "Which question?" Su Qingni asked. Su Yaxi quickly pointed to the question she didn't know. Su Qingni looked at the question and explained it to Su Yaxi. She explained it in a simple and easy to understand way, so Su Yaxi understood it all at once. It turns out that Dad is so awesome. Dad seems to know more than Mom and sister. The young boy couldn't help but change his feelings about his father. Dad is not illiterate, Dad is awesome. Mom is wrong. But Mom is gone. The boy's tears flowed again, and he whispered to Su Qingni, "Dad, will Mom come back?" Su Qingni touched the boy's head and cruelly made him face the reality. "Your mother will not come back. She abandoned us and wanted to live a rich and happy life. We are a burden to her, and she doesn't want us." Wow. The boy burst into tears. Su Qingni hugged the young master into her arms, letting him cry freely, letting him let his last hope for his mother flow away with his tears. She let the boy see the true face of his biological mother, and not to have conflicts with his father because of such a mother, and finally anger his father to death, and feel guilty for the rest of his life. In the plot, the original body died 2 years later, and was really angered to death by this young son. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 540, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder 3. In the plot, the young boy has a good relationship with his mother. Because he is a son, he is more loved by his mother. When his mother ran away, the young boy found it very difficult to accept and blamed his father. He thought that it was his father's incompetence that made his mother run away, and it was also his father's incompetence that made the family so poor, making him ridiculed by his classmates and looked down upon by teachers at school. As a result, the boy became rebellious and never had a good face for his father. He began to skip school and became a gangster, causing a lot of trouble. He either compensated others for the money his sister earned with hard work or spent it with a group of gangsters. The Su family did not improve their lives much because Su Yamai made money. At least the original owner's body had no money to go to the hospital for treatment, which caused his health to get worse and worse. Later, he was angry with his son and died. Although the boy blamed his father for his mother's departure, he never thought about his father's death. And his father died, and he was still angry to death by the boy. The boy was hit hard and felt guilty about his father. After that, the boy indulged himself and became a gangster who was hated by everyone. Su Qingni held the young boy and whispered, "Do you know why your mother left? It's because your mother couldn't stand the hardship and didn't want to take care of your father, a useless man. She wanted to live a good life, so she hooked up with another man. That man didn't want you and your sister as two burdens, so your mother left you. Your mother loved you, but she loved herself more. She was very selfish and would rather abandon you for her own good life. Yaxi, you have to understand clearly what kind of person she is, and also understand who is the one who really treats you well." Wow! The young boy cried even louder. Dad is right. Su Yamei opened the door and walked in, coming to Su Qingni and the others. Su Yamei also reached out and rubbed the young boy's head. "Brother, don't think about that woman anymore. She is no longer our mother if she abandons us. We only have Dad now. Let's live a good life with Dad, grow up to be useful adults, become successful people, and make that woman regret abandoning us." The answer to her was the young boy's loud crying. However, the young boy still took Su Qingni and Su Yamei's words to heart. At least, his complaints about Su Qingni disappeared. Su Yamei sat aside, quietly waiting for her brother to stop crying. Su Qingni smiled at Su Yamei soothingly and stretched out a hand. Su Yamei came forward, and Su Qingni gently hugged her, and the family of three hugged together. Su Yamei felt very at ease at this moment, even more at ease than when her mother was still there. After an unknown amount of time, Su Yaxi finally stopped crying, and Su Qingni let go of the two children. Su Yaxi's eyes were red, and her face was also red, and she looked very embarrassed. He bowed his head and quietly apologized to Su Qingni. "Dad, I'm sorry." Su Qingni held the boy's hair and smiled. "Dad and son, no need to apologize." The boy felt warm in his heart and naturally transferred his love for his mother to this father who was usually a little strange to him. The original body worked hard to make money to support the family, worked hard and busy, and rested when he got home because he was too tired. He had no time to communicate with the two children and didn't spend much time with them, which made the two children feel very strange to him as a father. This is also the main reason why the boy has a better relationship with his mother. At this time, Su Yamei took her backpack, unzipped it, took out a check from it, and handed it to Su Qingni. "Dad, I got 5 million. But the ring has been returned to my family. They asked us not to go to my family anymore." Su Qingni took the check and looked at it, and said, "If you don't want to go, then don't go. Anyway, they have never regarded me as a member of their family, and I have never regarded them as relatives." 5 million. The young boy exclaimed, "So much money? Sister, where did you get so much money? Be quiet, don't let others hear it." Su Yamei gave Su Yaxi a slap with her finger. The sound insulation between the houses in the slums is not very good. Su Yamei is worried that the people next door or those passing by outside will hear what the young boy said. Su Qingni said, "Don't worry, no one heard it." Although she can't practice kung fu, her 5 senses are still more sensitive than ordinary people, and she can hear the noise nearby. The young boy lowered his voice and said, "Sister, you haven't told me where the money came from." Su Yamei looked at Su Qingni and asked for her opinion. Su Qingni nodded, and Su Yamei told her about Su Qingni's family and the exchange of the ring for money. "Ah. So it was a promise that my family had made to my father a long time ago, so why didn't my father let my sister ask for more money back?" The young boy said, "Wouldn't it be better to ask for 10 million? Without Su Qingni's answer, Su Yamei answered the young boy's words, "My family is not particularly rich, and we can't afford too much money. And this 5 million is not a small amount, enough for our expenses for 3 years." Su Qingni nodded and spent frugally. This 5 million was indeed enough for a family of 3 to spend for 3 years, but life was definitely tight. But she was about to make money on her own, so she could spend this 5 million in half a year. Su Qingni handed the check to Su Yamei and asked Su Yamei to go to the bank to exchange it for cash. She only knew that Su Yamei took out the original owner's ID card and said to Su Yamei, "You use my ID card to open a bank account, deposit 4 million in the exchanged cash into the bank account, and take the remaining 1 million back for daily household expenses." "Yes." Su Yamai took Su Qingni's ID card excitedly. Su Qingni originally wanted Su Yamai to go to the market to buy some delicious food after taking the money, and then go home to improve the family's meals. However, thinking that it was unsafe for the little girl to carry so much money, she did not raise this request. The little girl went out again with her backpack. After running back and forth for so long, the little girl did not look tired at all and was full of energy. Su Qingni asked her son to sit next to her and took the textbook to teach her son from the beginning. She found that although the child was smart, he was not diligent in his studies and his foundation was not solid. Su Qingni had to teach her son's homework from the beginning to lay a foundation for him. She didn't have to worry about her daughter's homework. Su Yamai's homework was very good, and she was always the first in the grade. In the plot, she was able to kill many senior executives of entertainment companies, thanks to her self-taught knowledge of biochemistry. Self-study is so powerful, which shows how smart she is. If he had not dropped out of school to support his family, but continued to study, maybe this child could become a biochemical scientist and even win the Nobel Prize. Chapter 541, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder for. Amelia Su ran home happily, gave the bank book to Su Qingni, and gave all the cash to Su Qingni. Su Qingni took out 2 cash of 50,000 yuan and handed them to Amelia Su and Su Yaxi respectively, and said to them, "Your tuition has been delayed for more than half a month. Go to the teacher to pay the tuition tomorrow." Amelia Su and Su Yaxi both happily took the cash and carefully put it into their respective school bags. They delayed paying the tuition, which made the teachers and classmates look down on them. Both of them were very inferior and unhappy. Now that they have money to pay the tuition, they don't have to owe the school money, and they can hold their heads high. Amelia Su was happy in her heart, and she didn't care at all about the scout who wanted to find her to shoot a TV show. She was still young and hadn't even graduated from junior high school. How could she drop out of school to work? Even if she became famous for acting on TV, she would be laughed at as an illiterate. Compared to acting, she still likes studying more. Su Qingni took out another 10,000 yuan from it. "Yummy, it's getting late, it's time for dinner." "Ah, I haven't cooked yet." "Dad, wait a moment, I'll go make dinner." Su Yamai jumped up. Su Qingni grabbed her arm and said, "No need to cook. We have money today, let's celebrate with something good. Take this money and go to Anthan's snack bar to buy some delicious food." Su Yaxi said from the side, "There is no delicious food in Anthan's snack bar, not even barbecue." The child hadn't eaten meat for a long time and was craving for meat. Su Qingni smiled and said, "Next Sunday, Dad will take you to eat barbecue." "Great." Su Yaxi cheered. Su Yamai said disapprovingly, "Dad, that's such a waste of money." Su Qingni smiled and said to Su Yamai, "It's only once, it won't be too wasteful. You haven't eaten meat for so long, there's no fat in your stomach, you need to replenish it. And don't worry about money, Dad has thought of a way to make money, and from tomorrow, Dad will start making money." "But Dad, your legs." Su Yamai said worriedly, "Dad's legs are crippled, how can he make money? Where is there a job that can make money without using legs?" Su Qingni smiled and said, "Really, don't worry. When Dad was in high school, his Chinese grades were the best, and his essays were praised by the teacher. When he was young, Dad wanted to be a screenwriter and taught himself some knowledge of screenwriting. Now Dad's legs are broken, he can no longer go to the construction site to work, and he can write scripts at home. Maybe Dad's scripts are not well written and will not be adopted by the TV station. But what if? What if he is lucky enough to be favored by the TV station, and our family will have income?" Although Su Qingni said it well, Su Yaxi's eyes also lit up, as if her father had become a screenwriter. But Su Yamai was not optimistic about Su Qingni. People who majored in screenwriting in college may not be able to write scripts that are favored by TV stations. Her father only graduated from high school and has been doing rough work for more than 20 years. How can he write a good script? But it's rare that Dad has cheered up since his injury, and he wants to work hard to make money to support her and her brother. Don't let your father down too much. Anyway, it's just a matter of a little more ink and paper. If the script can't be accepted by the TV station, just treat it as Dad's own entertainment. Su Qingni saw Su Yamai's thoughts, and did not speak well of herself, but only told her another way to make money. Su Yamai thought this was more reliable. Dad knew how to do carpentry work, so she asked him to make some small things, and maybe he could really make some money. "Dad, I will buy you a set of carving knives and carpenter tools after school tomorrow. Su Qingni said. We have carpenter tools at home, so you don't need to buy them. Just go and buy the carving knives. After saying that, Su Qingni turned to Su Yaxi and said to the young boy, Yaxi, after school, go to the woods in the west to pick up some branches and wood for Dad. Okay, Dad. Su Yaxi replied. He was originally a child who liked to play. After school, he often ran to the grove with the children in the slums to play. You should know that there are still many families in the slums who burn firewood, and many children go to the grove to pick up firewood. Su Qingni took Su Yaxi to Han's snack bar to buy food. Su Qingni clearly heard Su Yaxi talking to Su Qingni about eating fried rice cakes. The owner of Han's snack bar is a widow. She also has a son and a daughter. The son is about the same age as Su Qingni, and the daughter is 1 year older than Su Yaxi. Her son is already a gangster, and her daughter is a good student with very good grades. Widow Han was surprised to see Su Qingni and her brother and sister coming to buy food. Everyone in the slums knew about the situation of the Su family. The Su family was much poorer than the Han family. How could they suddenly have money to buy food? Facing the curiosity of Widow Han and other guests, Su Qingni only briefly said that she had taken the money back from her family. Only then did everyone put down their curiosity. They thought that the Su family had done something shady to get the money, but it turned out that it was supported by relatives. Alice, there is no gossip to listen to. Everyone was bored. Su Qingni curled her lips and snorted in her heart. Don't think she doesn't know what these people are thinking. Humph, their Su family is not so poor that they have to cheat and commit crimes. Su Qingni ordered the dishes, and Widow Han hurried to the kitchen to cook. This was a big order, 3 or 4 times more than what other guests spent. Tisk, the relatives of the Su family were really good to Su Yingxian, and they must have given him a lot of money. But he is a cripple, not even as good as a widow like me, and he can't even work. No matter how much money he has, he will still spend it all? He doesn't know how to save money from now on. It will cost a lot to buy so many dishes. But the money has gone into her pocket, so she won't persuade them to save. Soon, Widow Han cooked the dishes and put the food into the bowls and plates brought by Su Qingni. The 2 siblings returned to their home with the trays. Su Qingni ordered 6 dishes, including steamed egg custard, fried tofu, sweet potatoes, kelp soup, spicy sauce dressed with mixed vegetables, and stir-fried rice cakes ordered by Su Yaxi, and a portion of kimchi fried rice is the staple food. Although there was no meat, this meal was very rich. Su Yaxi happily ate with an open belly, and her little belly was bulging. Su Qingni ate a lot, so she washed the dishes and took her brother outside for a walk to digest the food before returning home. After a good night's sleep, the 2 siblings went to school happily the next day, and went to the teacher to pay the tuition with their chests held high. They no longer had to be inferior to others. Su Qingni started writing the script at home. Su Qingni had watched a lot of Korean dramas on Earth, and had also watched some Korean dramas when she traveled through several worlds. She was very familiar with the routines of Korean dramas. In just one morning, the outline of the story was completed. Chapter 542, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. For lunch, Su Qingni bought bread and milk. There was no other way. Because the family had no money before, the Su family didn't have a wheelchair or crutches. Su Qingni wanted to go to the bathroom, and there was a chamber pot on the side of the bed, which she could reach with her hand. Su Qingni. Even if this world cannot use extraordinary power to make the legs completely healthy, it is necessary to treat the legs quickly, at least so that she can stand up and walk a few steps. Su Qingni prepared a prescription and developed a treatment plan based on the condition of this body. However, the problem is still money. If you want to treat the legs, you will have to spend a lot of money. The Su family now has only 5 million, which is far from enough to buy medicinal materials. Su Qingni sighed and had to focus on the script again, hoping to finish the script quickly, send it out quickly, and be purchased by the TV station. In the afternoon, Su Qingni went home and brought back the carving tools, and Su Yaxi also picked up some branches from the woods. The child knew that his father wanted to carve, and he was quite smart. He picked up relatively thick branches and some tree roots, which made Su Qingni basically satisfied. Su Qingni made dinner. The little girl bought a small piece of meat and made a dish of meat. She gave half to Su Qingni to replenish her body. Although Su Yaxi was greedy, she also cared about Su Qingni's health and did not compete with Su Qingni for this half of the meat. Su Qingni smiled and ate 2 pieces of meat, and then divided the rest of the meat between the 2 children. Dad? Su Yamei said disapprovingly. Su Qingni smiled and said, Dad has always eaten light food. Suddenly he eats greasy food, which is not good for his stomach. My digestive function is not as good as you 2 young people. You can help Dad eat this meat. Dad? Su Yamei's nose was sour. Dad's stomach is not bad, he just wants to leave good things for herself and her brother. In the past, Dad was busy with work and didn't spend much time at home. She and her brother didn't have much contact with Dad. They were misled by their mother's dissatisfaction and curses against Dad and thought that Dad was not good. Now that they have more contact, they know that Dad is so gentle and cares so much about themselves and their brother. Seeing that the little girl was imagining again, Su Qingni did not disturb her and said to Su Yaxi, hurry up and eat. After dinner, Dad will give you extra lessons. Su Yaxi nodded. He now had a reverence for his father. Dad was so amazing. The knowledge he taught him yesterday made it much easier for him to listen to the class today, and it was not difficult to answer the teacher's questions. After dinner, Su Qingni began to teach Su Yaxi homework. The elementary school curriculum was very simple. Except for history, Su Qingni knew everything and taught Su Yaxi the knowledge points in a simple and easy-to-understand way. Su Yaxi was very smart. She just didn't study seriously before, but now she studies seriously and has a firm grasp of the basic knowledge. Su Yamei went to the kitchen to get busy. In addition to washing dishes, she also had to clean and process the ingredients in preparation for making breakfast and lunch the next morning. If the ingredients were processed the night before, she could sleep a little longer the next day. After teaching Su Yaxi homework, Su Qingni picked up the tools and branches and started making handmade artworks. Su Qingni had thought about it. Ordinary small woodworking pieces could not be sold for much money. She decided to make a miniature landscape with wood, using some famous buildings in the country as the prototype of the miniature landscape. This should be able to sell for a good price. Su Qingni had already chosen, and she made a miniature landscape based on Changdeok Palace as the prototype. Changdeok Palace, also known as Dong, is one of the 5 major palaces in Seoul, equivalent to the Forbidden City of North Korea. It was built by King Taejong of Korea in the 3rd year of Yongle in the Ming Dynasty after Gyeongbokgung Palace. The palaces and pavilions of Changdeok Palace are designed entirely according to the natural terrain. It is the most natural palace in the Korean Royal Palace and has been designated as a World Cultural Heritage by the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Committee. The original body visited Changdeok Palace when he was young and remembered the palace where the emperor lived very clearly. At this time, when Su Qingni recalled it, the scenery and architecture of Changdeok Palace appeared clearly in her mind. Su Qingni picked up the branch and began to peel the outer bark. This is a delicate job, much more difficult than writing a script. It is estimated that it will take a long time to complete. I am afraid that I will have to write several scripts to complete such a landscape. Dad, it's late, it's time to go to bed. After finishing her homework, Su Yamei found that her father was still doing handicrafts, so she hurried over to remind Su Qingni. Su Qingni responded with a smile, and was helped by Su Yamei to lie down. Her health was not good, and she had to go to bed early. Early the next morning, Su Qingni was awakened by Su Yamei's movement of getting up. It was still early in the morning, and Su Yamei got up to make breakfast and dinner. This little girl was really capable, and her cooking skills were very good at a young age. Su Yamei put meat and vegetables in the lunch boxes for herself and her brother. Now, the 2 of them don't have to hide from others when they eat lunch. You know, they went to school with white rice and kimchi for several days, and their classmates found out and laughed at them. Su Yamei served Su Qingni breakfast and took her brother out. Coincidentally, the 2 children of widow Han also went out with them. Sister Yamei. The little girl Han Zizhan ran towards Su Yamei and the others. This little girl is a stubborn girl with a strong self-esteem. Because she is looked down upon by her classmates, she has no friends at school, but she has a good relationship with the Su siblings who live in the slums. Zizhan. Su Yamei greeted the little girl with a smile, took the little girl's hand, and took her to school. Although the little girl's brother, Han Shiji, is a gangster, he will not bully children from the same slums. He snorted at the 2 siblings, threw his school bag behind his back, and ran away. Su Yamei and Han Zizhan both knew that this kid was not going to school, and they didn't know where to bully people first. The lunch of the 2 brothers and sisters of the Han family was not good either. Most of them were leftovers from the snack bar of the widow Han. But every day for lunch, only the little girl ate the leftovers. Han Shiji had meat and soup, which was very good. I think you robbed it from other students. Su Yamei didn't like Han Shiji and taught her brother a lesson. You must never learn from Han Shiji in the future, understand? Su Yaxi nodded obediently. In fact, he envied Han Shiji in his heart and wanted to be as powerful as Han Shiji, but his sister taught him a lesson, so he had to obey, otherwise his sister would really beat him up. Han Zizhen didn't mind at all that Su Yamei said about her brother. She really didn't like such a gangster brother. Zizhen, come and have lunch with us at noon today. I cooked meat. Su Yamei invited Han Zizhen with a smile. Han Zizhen's eyes sparkled. She hadn't eaten meat for a long time. Sister Yamei, your relatives are so nice to you. Chapter 543, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder VI. Everyone in the slums knew that the Su family had relatives to help them, and their lives were a little better. Han Zizhen was envious, and she hoped that her family would have such relatives. Unfortunately, widow Han and her deceased husband were orphans, and they had no rich relatives. Su Yamei's mouth twitched when she heard Han Zizhen's words. Others envied them but didn't know the truth. So what if they had relatives? They didn't want to associate with their family at all, and only 5 million bought out their blood relationship. This 5 million seems a lot, but it can only be used for a few years. Dad doesn't have the ability to make a living now. Su Yamei doesn't believe that Su Qingni can make money by writing scripts and doing small carpentry after 3 years. The 5 million is used up, and their family is still as poor as everyone else, and even poorer than other families because they have no source of income. Su Yamei couldn't help but sigh. The good days she had these 2 days made her almost forget the embarrassment of having no money in the future. No, she still had to find a way to make money. Life without money is not easy. But her father didn't let her go to film TV. If she disobeyed her father would be unhappy. So what should she do? At this time, Su Yamei saw an old man rummaging through the garbage dump, and Su Yamei had a flash of inspiration. Yes, she could pick up garbage and sell it for money. Although this move was very embarrassing and her classmates would look down on her if they saw it, she didn't care about that in order to make money. Moreover, she could take a bus to farther area to pick up garbage without being seen by her classmates. With a decision in her mind, Su Yamei felt more at ease. Su Qingni didn't know that her adopted daughter actually wanted to pick up garbage to make money. She wrote scripts during the day and did carpentry and carving work at night. Her life was very busy. In this life, Su Qingni really suffered a lot. The body in other worlds is not worse than the current one, but at least the legs are intact and can walk, and there is no shortage of money. There is no extraordinary power to use herbs to treat the body. But in this life, the mere lack of money made Su Qingni suffer. It's okay to have no money, you can make money, but these 2 legs are crippled, even going to the toilet is troublesome. Su Qingni thought that she would wait until the weekend to ask Su Yamei to withdraw some money to buy her a wheelchair and crutches. At least when the 2 children are not at home, she can rely on the wheelchair and crutches to go to the toilet. Small ones can be solved with a chamber pot. But there is no way to go to the toilet. Su Qingni has to hold it in and wait until the children come home to serve her to the toilet. That feeling. Don't mention it. Although Su Yamei was reluctant to spend money, she was also reluctant to let her father suffer. On the weekend, she really bought a wheelchair and crutches for Su Qingni. The child found a way to buy a second-hand wheelchair and crutches, and the money was not much. Su Qingni praised this. Su Yamei was happy because of this, thinking that she could do this kind of second-hand business again after she made money from picking up garbage. With a wheelchair, Su Qingni's movements were much more convenient, and she immediately took the 2 children to the barbecue restaurant to eat barbecue. The 2 children were very happy. When checking out, Su Yamei met a female classmate from the same class. Su Yamei greeted her politely without any inferiority complex. Her family can afford to eat barbecue now. Although the female classmate was surprised that Su Yamei's father was a disabled person, she did not despise Su Yamei. In this society, people laugh at the poor but not at prostitutes. The Su family can afford barbecue, so they are not poor. Naturally, she would not look down on them because the Su family is poor. The next day, Su Yamei went out wearing her oldest clothes. Su Yaxi ran out to find someone to play with, and Su Qingni was so focused on finishing the script and selling it that she didn't care what Su Yamei was doing. Su Yamei left money for Su Yaxi and asked him to go to the snack bar of Widow Han to buy lunch and go home to eat. This was what Su Qingni had proposed before. She was really tired of eating only bread and milk at noon every day, so she asked Su Yamei to order meals from Widow Han and deliver meals to Su Qingni every day at noon, and Su Qingni gave her money. With such a regular and long-term customer, Widow Han naturally agreed. However, her craftsmanship was not as good as Su Yamei's. Su Yamei took an hour's drive to a wealthy community in Seoul and started picking up garbage. It is indeed a wealthy community, where rich people live, and the so-called garbage is better than the daily necessities of poor families. Su Yamei actually found many good things from the garbage. Those things were all good, but some were old or had a corner bumped, so they were thrown away, and the other functions were not damaged. Su Yamei took these things out separately and put them in a bag. After selling the other garbage to the scrap collection station, Su Yamei took the bag of things to another slum. Su Yamei set up a stall outside the slum and put out those useful things for sale. These things were just for show, and they were all good. Su Yamei sold them at 1/10 of the original price, and many people came to buy things. After a while, all the things she picked up were sold out. On this day, Amelia Su earned 10,000 won. This made her very happy. In the future, even if her father couldn't make money, she and her brother wouldn't have to worry about tuition and living expenses with such a way to make money. After that, Amelia Su went to the rich community every Sunday to pick up garbage and sell it, and the money she earned was more or less. Because there was still savings in the family, Amelia Su didn't want Su Qingni to worry, so she didn't tell her father and brother about her family picking up garbage to make money. On the third Sunday, Amelia Su took Han Zizhan to pick up garbage to make money. Although the Han family had a snack bar to make money, the Han family still owed foreign debts, so the Han family was not doing well. Han Zizhan was very filial and wanted to help her mother. Amelia Su knew what she was thinking, so she took Han Zizhan to pick up garbage to make money. Although Han Zizhan thought it was shameful to pick up garbage, the little girl didn't care about face for money. Did Amelia Su accompany her? Besides, they went to such a far place to pick up garbage, and no one recognized them at all. The little girl didn't know that fate was playing tricks on her. It was because she followed the rubbish collectors that her life story was revealed, and her fate took a huge turn. Han Zizhan gave the money she earned from rubbish collecting to Widow Han, who was moved to tears. Therefore, Widow Han told Su Qingni about Su Yamei going to rubbish collecting with her to make money. Su Qingni thought about it and did not stop the two girls from making money from rubbish collecting. Instead, she persuaded Widow Han to accept it. Both of them are good kids. They are doing this to reduce the burden on their family. They should cherish this kindness alone. What's more, the money earned from rubbish collecting is legitimate, which is much better than letting two beautiful girls enter the entertainment industry and be exploited. Chapter 544, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. After a month and a half, Su Qingni finally finished writing a script. It took so long mainly because of her physical condition and the fact that she had no computer to type on, so she could only write by hand. Su Qingni asked Su Yamei to make 3 copies of the script, and mailed the 3 copies to 3 TV stations. After that, she just had to wait for news. Su Yamei felt that it was useless to wait, and she didn't believe that the script written by Su Qingni would be favored by the TV station. After Su Qingni finished writing the script, she didn't show it to her son and daughter. She took Han Zizhan out to make money again. This time, they went to another wealthy community. The two of them were busy for a long time and gained a lot. Han Zizhan looked at her harvest and smiled happily. The smile was so great that it caught the eyes of someone who happened to be out, and the man couldn't help but be shocked. After more than a week, the 3 TV stations responded, all wanting to buy the script written by Su Qingni and sign a long-term cooperation agreement with Su Qingni. Su Qingni chose a TV station that offered more and was the most sincere to sign a contract. He was not a contracted screenwriter for a TV station, but any script he wrote would be sold to that TV station first. 40 million. Su Yamei held a check in her hand, her heart pounding. 40 million. It's 8 times the 5 million. She originally thought that the 5 million would allow her family to live for 2 or 3 years, and now there is another 40 million, so they don't have to worry about living expenses for more than 10 or 20 years. This is just the first script that Dad has sold. If Dad's scripts can be sold at a good price in the future, then their family will not be short of money, and they can live a rich life. After Su Yaxi was surprised, he pestered Su Qingni to buy things for him. He wanted a pair of good sneakers, wanted to eat barbecue again, wanted to go on a class trip with teachers and classmates. Su Qingni nodded and agreed. They were all small things that didn't cost much money. Su Yamai counted her own small treasury, and then looked at the 40 million check in her hand, and sighed in her heart. The children's ability to make money is indeed not as good as adults. The money she earned from working hard for more than a month was not even a fraction of what her father earned from writing scripts. She felt relaxed. With an adult who could make money at home, she no longer had to worry about the livelihood of her family, and she could stop picking up trash to make money in the future. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. If you are seen picking up trash by your classmates, it would be a shame. At this moment, Su Yamai was not panicked because she had money in her hands, and her desire to make money had disappeared for the most part. The next day, Han Zizhan came to Su Yamai to pick up trash, but Su Yamai said that she no longer wanted to pick up trash. Han Zizhan understood Su Yamai very well. Picking up trash for money was indeed a shameful thing. Now that Su's father can make money to support the family, Su Yamai really doesn't have to pick up trash. However, her family still needs money, and she can't give up this way of making money. The little girl said goodbye to Su Yamai and called her gangster brother to accompany her to pick up trash. The gangster brother actually attaches great importance to his family in his heart. He knows the plight of his family, but he doesn't know how to help his mother improve the conditions at home. Being a gangster and robbing other students' lunch and pocket money can help his mother reduce some of the burden. Now, his sister has a way to make money. Although picking up trash is a shameful thing, it has to go to a far place where no one knows him, so Han Shiji reluctantly followed his sister to pick up trash. The money from picking up trash is not much, but if you pick up second-hand things and sell them to people in the slums, you can make a lot of money. This opened up the idea for the little gangster brother. The second-hand trading has a bright future. Su Qingni took the two children to the bank to exchange the checks for cash, and took the two children to go shopping, buying and buying non-stop. The clothes of the two children are all old and very cheaply made. They should all be discarded and bought new ones. Su Qingni bought 10 new sets of clothes for each child, from the inside to the outside, and then to socks and shoes, all new. There were too many things to buy, and Su Qingni and the two children couldn't take them away. Fortunately, the clothing store also provided door-to-door delivery service. For such a big customer who bought so many things at one time, the store owner was very attentive. Su Qingni took the two children to eat at Grandpa Ken again. The two children have never eaten this kind of fast food that is popular all over the world since they were born. Su Yaxi was very happy to eat. It turned out that in addition to barbecue, chicken wings and hamburgers are also so delicious. After that, Su Qingni took the two children to the real estate agency to check the house information. Su Qingni wanted to buy a house. The environment of the slums was not suitable for the two children to live in, so they had to move away. But now she didn't have too much money on hand, so she could look for a house first, and then buy a house after selling a few more scripts and making more money. Finally, Su Qingni asked Su Yamai to push her to a pharmacy specializing in selling Chinese medicinal materials, and bought herbs for treating crippled legs and strengthening the body, and also bought a pair of silver needles for acupuncture. Dad, this is a silver needle for acupuncture, right? What's the use of buying it? Su Yamai asked puzzledly. Su Qingni fooled the two children. When Dad was young, he learned a few hints from an acupuncture master. I thought that doing acupuncture on my legs myself might be useful. Dad is so amazing. Su Yaxi said admiringly, his eyes full of trust and admiration for his father. The beautiful girl Su Yamai said worriedly, Dad, I heard that acupuncture requires professional skills and you need to know the meridians of the whole body. Otherwise, you can't just randomly insert needles, otherwise it will kill people. You'd better not use needles to prick yourself. Su Qingni, Emily, don't you believe in your father's ability? No. Yamai opened her mouth. She really didn't believe that Su Qingni could do acupuncture, but she thought of the money that Su Qingni had just sold a script for. At the beginning, her father said that he could write scripts to make money, and she didn't believe him. But her father slapped her in the face with facts. Now her father said that he could do acupuncture again, and she still didn't believe it. Will her father continue to slap her in the face with facts? Then you should be careful. Su Yamai decided to believe her father. Su Qingni smiled and said, Don't worry, Dad will never do anything he is not sure of. The family of 3 returned home, and soon, the people from the clothing store delivered the things they bought. The neighbors around saw the deliveryman delivering large paper bags to the Su family one by one, and they were extremely jealous. They didn't know that Su Qingni made money by writing scripts, and they just thought that Su's relatives were giving them money again. Some people with bad intentions stared at the Su family as if they were staring at meat buns. Su Qingni noticed the gazes of these people and snorted in her heart. Chapter 545, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder 9. Autumn in My Heart is staged in reality, only the beginning. The plot afterwards will definitely not be the same as Autumn in My Heart. After all, Han Zizhan is not Cuisine. Cuisine is determined to escape from her poor family, but Han Zizhan now works with her brother to make money to support the family, and her life has momentum and hope. In addition, she has feelings for her mother and brother, so she will definitely not abandon poverty and her mother and brother and run back to the rich family like Cuisine did when she heard that she was the daughter of a rich family. It is precisely because of the different mentality that Han Zizhan sees more clearly than Cuisine. What she sees is not how good the life in the rich family is, but the disdain and contempt of that family for her, so she will feel uncomfortable and hate that family, and will have the idea of not returning to that family. Su Yamai comforted Han Zizhan, and she didn't know how to persuade Han Zizhan, so she just responded to Han Zizhan's words a few times to comfort Han Zizhan's emotions. Although the little girl is young, she has a mature personality, a little devil, and has her own ideas. She doesn't need others to give her advice, she knows how to choose. Han Shiji came to the Su family to find his sister. He sat next to Han Zizhan and said to the little girl who was not his biological sister seriously, "You are my only sister." As for that biological sister, haha, she looked down on them, the poor people. She looked sad and embarrassed on the surface, but who didn't see the disgust and contempt in her eyes? Even his mother, Widow Han, saw it, so Widow Han was very sad. Because of her sadness, she was not in the mood to look for Han Zizhan and did not comfort Han Zizhan in the first place. Is it because the little princess doesn't want to recognize your gangster brother? The little girl said venomously. Han Shiji slapped Han Zizhan on the back of the head. What nonsense are you talking about? Han Zizhan replied with a chuckle, and her mood suddenly became much better. Those people are gone? What did they say? Han Zizhan asked. Han Shiji said, they said they would take you back to their home, but they wouldn't let my biological sister go home. After all, our family is too poor, and they don't want the little girl they raised as a princess to suffer. They would give our family a sum of money as a thank you to mom for giving birth to the little princess, and to buy out our connection with the little princess. But mom refused the money. Our family is not a human trafficker, and we won't sell our daughter. It's just that the little princess chose their family herself and doesn't want to go back to our family, so mom will just pretend that she never gave birth to that child. Han Shiji snorted coldly and said, when the little princess heard mom say that, she immediately threw herself into the arms of the other lady, her face full of relief, which made mom very sad. Mom didn't come out to find you because she was hurt by her own daughter and was crying in her room. It wasn't that she intentionally ignored you. I won't go back to that home. Han Zizhan said with puffed cheeks. She didn't like that home, nor did she like the people in that home. Don't worry, as long as you don't want to go back, we won't send you back. Han Shiji said, my mother and I also told that family that we respect your choice. But that family is very arrogant, thinking that they are rich and you will definitely take advantage of them. Han Zizhan snorted, I won't take advantage of them and let them look down on me. What's so great about being rich, brother? As long as we work hard to do business, we will definitely be richer than them in the future. Okay, let's work hard to make money. Han Shiji clenched his fist and stretched it in front of Han Zizhan, and Han Zizhan stretched out her fist to collide with Han Shiji's fist. When the Su family moved out of the slums, the Han family's affairs were also resolved. Han Zizhan stayed in the Han family, and the Han family's biological daughter also stayed in the other family. Perhaps Han Zizhan's choice was too unexpected for the family. The family felt guilty for leaving their own daughter in a poor family to suffer, and gave the Han family a sum of money, saying it was for Han Zizhan's child support. Widow Han didn't want to accept it at first. If she accepted the money, would she also have to give the other party a sum of money as child support for her own daughter? Han Zizhan and Han Shiji accepted the money on behalf of Widow Han. This money is just a drop in the bucket for rich people, but it is a huge sum of money for their family, enough to change their future life. Don't be angry with the money. Widow Han's biological daughter doesn't care about Widow Han's child support, but Han Zizhan cares about the child support that family gives her. Since people have given it, why should she pretend to be noble and not want it? The two used the child support to pay off all the debts of the Han family and moved Widow Han out of the slums. Their family followed the Su family. However, the Su family bought a house themselves, while their family rented the house. After paying off the debt, the Han family did not have enough money left to buy a house. Su Qingni spent half a month writing another TV script. This script is not long, only 10 episodes, so it naturally doesn't take too much time, but the money sold is not as much as the first time. But it also made a lot of money, allowing Su Qingni to buy a house without having to borrow money from the bank. Of course, they didn't buy those high-end apartments and villas. Su Qingni couldn't afford those now. She bought second-hand civilian houses, relatively old traditional houses, brick wood bungalows with a small yard outside. The price of this kind of house is cheaper than that of a building, and Su Qingni has just enough money to buy one. The new home of the Han family is not far from the new home of the Su family, in another residential building near the street. That residential building is a circle smaller than the Su family's, but there is a small shop, which is convenient for Widow Han to continue to run her snack bar. The new home is far from the children's school, so the two families transferred the children to a school near their home. Han Shiji didn't want to go to school at first, and wanted to make money, but he was suppressed by his biological mother and asked him to get a high school diploma back. He can go to school for 3 days and dry the net for 2 days, but his student status must be retained. Han Shiji had no way to resist his mother, so he could only go to school a few times after doing business. Han Zizhan still went to help Han Shiji every weekend. Their business was booming, much better than the snack bar business of Widow Han. Widow Han later closed the snack bar and went with her son to do the second-hand goods business. She also converted the original shop into a second-hand goods store. Not only did people from the slums come to their store to buy things, but also nearby residents would come to their store to buy things. Because the things were real and cost-effective. Su Yaxi had just transferred to another school, and a little girl who was as kind and pure as a little white flower transferred into his original class. The little girl sat in the classroom, feeling a little empty in her heart, as if she had lost something. Chapter 546, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. We still have to move out of the slums as soon as possible. Su Qingni thought. If she was in good health, she would not be afraid of these people with bad intentions, but now she is a cripple and can't protect her 2 children, so she can only stay away from these people. She originally wanted to buy a house in full, but in this situation, she can only pay the down payment first, borrow money from the bank to buy a house, and take the children out of the slums as soon as possible. Su Qingni decided to go to the real estate agency the next day and buy a house she had seen today. After the deliveryman left, the 2 children happily jumped into a pile of goods, began to unpack, and took out their own things. It is a very happy thing for children to wear new clothes, not to mention so many new clothes. The faces of the 2 children were all filled with happy smiles, which had not been seen in more than 10 years. Su Qingni sat at the table, unpacked the herbal medicine bag, smiled, and looked at the actions of the 2 children, and smiled on her face. When the family was happy, the door was knocked, and then the voices of Han Zizhan and Han Shiji came. Su Yamai hurried to open the door for the 2 and let them into the house. Seeing so many good things in the house, the brother and sister both showed surprised and envious eyes, but their eyes were clear, envious but not jealous, and they did not have any bad thoughts. Zizhan, what do you want to see me for? Su Yamai asked Han Zizhan, did you encounter any trouble when picking up garbage today? No trouble. Han Zizhan shook her head quickly, in fact, we are not here to see you, but to see Uncle Su. Seek me. Su Qingni looked at the 2 in surprise. What do you want to see me for? The faces of the 2 brothers and sisters were flushed, and they looked very embarrassed. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows, with an encouraging smile on her face, and said, just tell me if you have any problems. I will definitely help you if I can. That? Han Shiji said, Uncle Su, can you lend us some money? Lend us money? How much? Su Qingni asked. 2 million. Han Shiji said. What? Su Yamai screamed, what do you want so much money for? Did you get into trouble? Did Brother Shiji beat someone up and put him in the hospital? Do you want to pay for medical expenses and compensation? No. Han Shiji shouted hurriedly, although I often beat people, I am very measured. I will never beat someone into the hospital and take money out of my pocket. I only take money out of other people's pockets. The other people in the room. You are quite experienced and skilled in beating people. Han Shiji saw the expressions of the others, and quickly pretended to cough to resolve the embarrassment, and said, well, Uncle Su, we asked you to borrow money because we want to do business. Business? What business? Su Qingni asked. Su Yamai had the same idea. She reacted immediately and said, you want to do a second-hand goods business. Han Shiji and Han Zizhan nodded vigorously. We found that this is a market with great development potential. Many rich people throw away things after using them a few times, and the same is true for clothes. As long as we use a small amount of money to recycle these things and clothes, and then sell them to people in the slums, we will definitely make money. Su Yamai nodded repeatedly as she listened to it. She also wanted to do this business before. But her father was very capable and could make a lot of money, so she gave up this business. Su Qingni was a little surprised that several children actually found a way to make money from picking up garbage. For this, she gave them 2 thumbs up. Looking at Han Shiji, who was dressed like a gangster, staring at her with a worried face, waiting for her answer, Su Qingni couldn't help but smile. Isn't this good? Seeing that the child who was about to fall into depravity turned his feet in time and walked towards another brighter road, she just gave him a little money to push him. Why not? Okay, I'll lend it to you, but you have to write me an IOU. Su Qingni said, since you are good friends, I won't charge interest. Han Shiji and Han Zizhan got a positive answer, and they both breathed a sigh of relief and smiled happily. Su Yamai also smiled. She was very happy to be able to help 2 friends. Han Zizhan hurriedly said, we will write the IOU immediately. Yamai, can you lend us a pen and paper? Wait. Su Yamai quickly ran back to her room, quickly took out a pen and an exercise book from her school bag, and handed them to Han Zizhan. Han Zizhan tore a blank piece of paper from the exercise book, wrote the IOU in a few strokes, and signed her name. Then she handed the pen to Han Shiji, and Han Shiji also signed his name. Han Zizhan handed the IOU to Su Qingni. Su Qingni took the IOU, took out the checkbook that she had just handled at the bank today from her pocket, wrote a check for 2 million and handed it to Han Zizhan. Han Zizhan took the check, her hands were shaking, she called out in a trembling voice, brother. Han Shiji came over, took the check, and began to tremble when he saw the number on it. From childhood to adulthood, they had never seen so much money. Thank you, Uncle Su. Han Zizhan took Han Shiji and bowed deeply to Su Qingni. Su Qingni waved her hand, you're welcome. You are good children. I believe in your character and ability. I wish you a prosperous business and to repay the money I lent you as soon as possible. Thank you for your good wishes. The 2 siblings left happily. In the days that followed, Han Shiji still skipped school as usual, and only went to school occasionally. However, he skipped school now not to bully others, nor to hang out with other gangsters, but to do business. Han Shiji looked unruly and rude, but in fact he had a very smooth personality. He said one thing to one person and another to another. This kind of personality is most suitable for doing business. Before long, Han Shiji established friendly relationships with the security guards of many wealthy communities. He was able to enter and exit those communities freely, and get intelligence from the security guards, knowing which families had waste to dispose of, which families were moving and needed to dispose of furniture and other items at home. After a month, Han Shiji had made a lot of money and paid off the debt owed to Su Qingni. Han Zizhan went to help Han Shiji on weekends. The 2 siblings worked together to make their business very prosperous. Seeing that the whole family had paid off their debts and were about to live a rich life from then on, the family went to the Han family. Han Zizhan ran to the Su family crying. She came to Su Yamai to confide her sadness, but because the sound insulation of the Su family was not good, Su Qingni could hear their words clearly. Those people said that I was their daughter, but their eyes were full of dissatisfaction and contempt for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 547, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Finally finished. Su Yamei and Su Yaxi looked at the miniature three-dimensional landscape of Changdeok Palace on the table with shocked faces, and couldn't close their mouths for a long time. They knew that their father was amazing from the fact that he could write a good script and was purchased by a TV station. He was very secretive, but they didn't expect that his woodworking skills were also so amazing. The miniature landscape in front of them is really a very exquisite work of art. I wonder how much it will sell for if it is sold. Su Yamei and Su Yaxi both looked at Su Qingni with complicated faces. Why are you looking at me like this? Is there something on my face? Su Qingni touched her face in confusion. No. The two children shook their heads together and said in unison, Dad's face is very clean. Then why are you looking at me like this? That's because we think you are amazing, Dad. Su Yaxi gave his father a thumbs up. Dad is really amazing, not the waste in Mom's mouth. Su Yamei looked at Su Qingni with a complicated expression. If her father had shown these talents earlier, would her family have lived a good life a long time ago? But this can't be blamed on Dad, right? Dad didn't know that his writing skills would be so high and his carpentry skills would be so great. Dad worked hard outside every day and was exhausted when he came home. He had no time and mood to engage in his own interests and hobbies, so naturally he didn't realize that his interests and hobbies could make money. Su Yamei wiped her face and pulled her mind back to the current miniature landscape. Dad, where should I sell this thing? Su Yamei asked a practical question. Su Qingni smiled and replied, I asked Mr. Li about selling handicrafts before. Mr. Li introduced me to a company that specializes in selling traditional handicrafts and gave me the phone number and address. I want to go to that company tomorrow and let the person in charge of the company see this miniature landscape. Wait 2 more days. Su Yamei said hurriedly, I will have summer vacation in 2 days, and I will go with you. I will go too. Su Yaxi said hurriedly, I will have a day earlier than my sister. Okay, then wait 2 more days. Su Qingni responded. Su Yamei was happy, such a beautiful thing, of course I have to keep it at home for 2 more days. I will buy a camera after school tomorrow and take a picture of the whole picture of this miniature landscape as a souvenir. If you like it and can't bear to part with it, then we won't sell it. I'll make it again and sell it. Su Qingni said. No, I'm not reluctant to part with it. Su Yamei said hurriedly. Although the miniature landscape is beautiful, it can't be eaten or worn, and it's not very useful to keep it at home. It's better to sell it for money. A few days passed quickly, and Su Yamei and Su Yaxi took the final exams at school and had a holiday. Su Yamei's grades were good to begin with, and now she didn't have to worry about her family's life. She put all her thoughts on studying, and her grades rose sharply. In the new school, she crushed the first place in the original school and became the first place in this school. Su Yaxi had Su Qingni's help to subsidize the foundation, and her academic performance also improved a lot. Although she didn't become the first in the grade like her sister, she was also admitted to the top 50 in the grade. Su Qingni rewarded the two children, took them to a big meal, and bought a computer home. Computers today are still very bulky, the internet is not popular, and there are few computer games. But even so, the attraction to the two children is great enough. Especially Su Yaxi, this child has the potential to be a hacker. Su Qingni thinks that he can be trained to develop in this direction. On the second day of the holiday, Su Qingni took the two children to the company that sells traditional handicrafts. As soon as the miniature landscape was taken out, it immediately shocked everyone in the company. The attitude of the person in charge of the company towards Su Qingni immediately took a 180-degree turn. This person is a master, and must be treated with respect. In this country, artists and masters of various industries have a very high social status. Although the miniature landscape did not sell for a sky-high price, the price it sold was also very high, which was higher than the salary Su Qingni received for writing several scripts combined. Today's Su family can really be regarded as rich people. Cash will depreciate if it is kept in hand, so Su Qingni simply used all the money to buy real estate. No matter which country or city, real estate will not depreciate, but will appreciate with the development of society. Su Qingni bought 5 more houses with shops and rented them out. The rent collected every month was enough to cover the family's living expenses. After that, Su Qingni would buy a house when she had money. More than a decade later, Su Qingni became a big landlord and a landlord. Although her wealth was not as good as that of a professor from an alien planet, it was not less than that of some large companies. On the third day after the miniature landscape was sold, The TV series based on Su Qingni's first script was broadcast. Su Qingni took a bath in the bathroom, a bath made of Chinese herbal medicine. While taking a bath, Su Qingni used silver needles to prick the acupuncture points on her legs. Because of the untimely treatment, some of her legs' meridians were necrotic. Now using silver needles can only be a matter of doing one's best and leaving it to fate. Who said that this world cannot use extraordinary power? Even the internal force cannot be used, and the effect of silver needle acupuncture will be reduced a lot. After the last needle was pierced, Su Qingni heard Su Yaxi calling her outside. The young boy was very excited, and there was a little tremor in his voice. Su Qingni quickly washed her body with clean water, changed into clean clothes, and left the bathroom. At this time, the TV series just started. Su Yaxi and Su Yamai hurried forward to support Su Qingni, took her to sit on the tatami, and the family of three watched the TV series. The first script written by Su Qingni was a more bloody, more sad and more tearful TV series that combined the plots of sad and beautiful love TV series such as Autumn in My Heart and Winter Sonata. Such a TV series will definitely attract the attention of housewives and make them like it. Housewives are the main force in watching TV series, so the ratings can be predicted. After the TV series was broadcast, Su Qingni received a call from the director of the TV station's production department. The director laughed on the other end of the phone and congratulated Su Qingni. Su Qingni naturally congratulated the director with a smile. The two parties flattered each other, and the theme was to cooperate happily and continue to cooperate in the future. Su Qingni had no objection to cooperating with this TV station. This TV station was quite large, and the manager was an enterprising young man who worked with principles and did not procrastinate. He valued and treated people with real talent very highly. At the beginning, he offered Su Qingni, a screenwriter who had no reputation at all, the same treatment as a famous screenwriter. This showed the vision and courage of this man. Chapter 548 Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder's eye. The ratings of the TV series continued to rise, crushing other TV series of the same period on other TV stations. When the finale was broadcast, the ratings of this TV station called HGD reached the highest level in 10 years, accounting for 90% of the market share, and almost every family was watching this TV series. No one watched other TV stations at all. People from other TV stations were about to cry. A meeting was immediately held to discuss how to deal with the problem, and the conclusion was to poach Su Qingni, a previously unknown screenwriter, to their own TV station. So, in the following days, people often came to visit Su Qingni's house to poach people. Su Qingni would not offend everyone. Although she refused these TV stations to poach people in the name of the contract, she promised these TV stations that she would consider selling them if she wrote a new script. When the house was finally quiet, Mr. Lee from HGD called Su Qingni and invited her to the celebration banquet. The two children were very interested in the celebration banquet and wanted to go with Su Qingni to meet the stars. Su Qingni didn't want to go at first, mainly because her legs were inconvenient, but the two children wanted to go, so as a good father who loves his children, Su Qingni naturally took them with him. He bought beautiful and expensive brand name clothes for the two children, and the two children dressed like little princesses and little princes. Su Yamai looked at the little girl in the mirror wearing a pink lace puffy skirt and a crown-shaped headdress with pearls on her head, and her eyes were a little blurred. Is this her? Has she become a princess? Half a year ago, she was still a Cinderella, the kind of Cinderella who was low in the dust, so poor that she could only eat white rice and kimchi, so poor that she couldn't pay the tuition, was looked down upon by teachers and classmates, and lived like a mouse in the slums. But now, she lives in a large house, has her own bedroom, and the layout is exactly what she wants. She can eat meat every day, and her lunch makes other students envious. Teachers and classmates like her very much, and she has made many good friends. Now, she is dressed like a princess. Su Yamai feels as if she is dreaming again. If this is really a beautiful dream, then I hope I will never wake up. Sister, what are you dawdling about? I'm about to go out. The voice of her younger brother called her outside the door. Su Yamai blinked her eyes. Well, it was not a dream, it was real. Now she was really like a princess. Thank you, Dad. It was Dad who gave her and her brother such a life. Should we also thank the mother who abandoned them? If it weren't for their mother abandoning them, Dad wouldn't have cheered up and found ways to make money, so as to show the advantages that he had always ignored and used them to make money. Thinking so in her heart, Su Qingni walked out of the room and saw her younger brother wearing a black dress, like a little gentleman. He looked a bit like a prince in a dragon robe. Su Qingni looked at the pair of children who were like a princess and a prince with satisfaction. The two children completely got rid of their previous lives and would also get rid of the destiny that was set for the future. Now they are better than the boys and girls of the same age. When they grow up, they will become more and more outstanding. If they still meet the male and female protagonists in their respective stories as their original fate, with their excellence, will the male and female protagonists still despise them as they did originally? It's their turn to despise the male and female protagonists, right? You have to know that in Su Qingni's story, the so-called heroine is kind, and Su Qingni really doesn't see that she is excellent. However, she graduated from high school and has no special skills. It is because Su Qingni has always been by her side to help her so that she will not be bullied to death by her adoptive mother and sister. Only then can she remain kind and meet the hero, and then the hero will find out her true life experience and help her find her rich biological parents, so that she can live the life of a rich girl and a rich lady, and become a happy parasite. Such a heroine has no contribution to society. How can she be worthy of her carefully raised son? The family of three took a taxi to the big hotel where the celebration banquet was held. Mr. Li knew Su Qingni's physical condition and waited for them at the door of the hotel early in the morning to pick up Su Qingni and the other two into the hotel. Mr. Li stayed by Su Qingni's side and introduced her to her colleagues at the TV station and the stars who came to attend the celebration banquet. At first, the two children followed Su Qingni with shining eyes, watching the actors and stars who came forward to greet Su Qingni one after another. Later, after seeing so many, the excitement of the two disappeared and they felt bored. Su Qingni sighed and drove the two children away from her, letting them play by themselves. Just be careful not to cause trouble. The banquet venue was so small, there were people, food and drinks, and the two children only watched the stars and ate. The celebration banquet was a buffet, and the food was all you could eat. However, most of the people who came to the celebration banquet came to socialize and make connections, and they didn't care about the food. Only children like Su Qingni and Su Qingni would focus all their attention on eating. Wow, sister, this tiramisu is delicious, you try it. Sister, this steak is not bad either. Su Qingni felt as happy as a mouse that fell into a rice jar. The food here is so delicious, especially the various meats, which are better than barbecue. And those desserts taste even better. You guys are eating so happily, are these things really delicious? A voice sounded beside the two siblings. The two siblings turned their heads and saw a boy who was about 1 or 2 years older than Su Qingni standing beside them, asking them curiously. Whether it tastes good or not, you will know if you try it yourself. Su Qingni replied. I have eaten it before, but the taste is just like that, no different from what I usually eat. That's why I am curious, why do you look as if you have eaten a top-notch state banquet? The boy stared at the two and asked. This man must be a rich young man, who has eaten too much delicious food, so he naturally doesn't think these buffets are delicious. Su Qingni and Su Qingni looked at each other and listed the boy as someone who should not be offended. Su Qingni rolled his eyes and fooled the boy. Although the taste is the same as usual, the mood when eating is different, so it feels delicious. Mood? What's your mood now? The boy asked curiously. I'm so bored that I can only eat. Su Qingni pointed at the adults who were socializing with hypocritical smiles on their faces and said, seeing how hard they are working while I can eat to my heart's content, the food tastes much better. The boy looked at the adults in the field, thought about what Su Qingni said, and felt that he was right, so he also picked up a plate, filled it with food and started eating. Chapter 549, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodders. The boy became friends with Su Qingni and Su Qingni. The two siblings knew that the boy's name was Quan Junai, and followed their father and mother to attend the celebration banquet. The whole family is the third largest shareholder of the TV station, but the TV station is not their main business. Their company is engaged in foreign trade. Quan Junai and Su Qingni had a very happy chat, and friendship came naturally. Quan Junai took his new friend to meet his parents, and Su Qingni also took Quan Junai to meet Su Qingni. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows when she heard Quan Junai's name. This Quan Junai is the male protagonist in Su Qingni's story. Unexpectedly, she moved with Su Qingni and transferred to another school, which resulted in Su Qingni not meeting the heroine, but meeting the hero in advance and becoming friends. Su Qingni's story is like this. The heroine of Little White Flower, Liu Zhiya, lost her family when she was a child and was adopted by a family, but the hostess of that family was in poor health and died the next year. The male owner married a widow with a daughter as his stepwife. The stepmother didn't know that Liu Zhiya was adopted, and thought she was the child left by the male owner's ex-wife. She followed the stepmother's consistent style and treated Liu Zhiya in one way and another way. She treated Liu Zhiya better in front of the male owner, but she was not good behind the male owner's back. Her daughter Liu Zhiyan was only 1 month older than Liu Zhiya, and she also bullied Liu Zhiya in various ways. In the original story, Liu Zhiyan bullied Liu Zhiya at school, and was stopped by Su Yaxi once. Su Yaxi didn't intend to help Liu Zhiya to stop Liu Zhiyan, but was in a bad mood and took it out on Liu Zhiyan. But Liu Zhiya didn't know. She regarded Su Yaxi as a good person and began to approach Su Yaxi. At this time, Su Yaxi became a waste because his mother left his father and his family was so poor that he couldn't even open the pot. He was looked down upon by teachers and classmates and had become a gloomy teenager, and was led by Han Shiji to start gangster behavior. And this kind of psychologically shadowed and hurt teenager is most likely to be moved and attracted by a simple, kind and warm girl. After a while of being awkward, the boy completely accepted Liu Zhiya as his good friend and accompanied Liu Zhiya all the way to grow up. Liu Zhiya is a simple and kind person. This kind of person will always offend people and bring trouble to others without knowing it, and will cause a lot of trouble. These troubles were all solved by Su Yaxi. Su Yaxi protected Liu Zhiya all the way. He likes Liu Zhiya and is willing to pay for Liu Zhiya. But Liu Zhiya doesn't like Su Yaxi and only regards Su Yaxi as the best friend. She met Quan Junyu, a rich and handsome young master, and started a romantic love story with Quan Junyu. During the period, there were various assistances. The whole family could not accept Liu Zhiya as their daughter-in-law. Liu Zhiya always ran to Su Yaxi to complain. Su Yaxi stood up for Liu Zhiya and went to Quan Junyu and the whole family to settle accounts. As a result, Liu Zhiya ran out to stop Su Yaxi from hurting the person he liked. Su Yaxi was not a person inside and outside, and was imprisoned by the whole family. After being released from prison, Su Yaxi wanted to seek revenge on the Su family, but was stopped by Liu Zhiya crying. Liu Zhiya moved Su Yaxi with love, so that Su Yaxi gave up revenge and wished Liu Zhiya and the person she truly loved to be happy and long-lasting. This is the usual routine of Dog Blood TV series. And Liu Zhiya's life experience was also found out by Quan Junyu, who let her recognize her real rich parents. The whole family naturally accepted Liu Zhiya and allowed her to enter the whole family. At the end of the big reunion, there is always a little climax. Liu Zhiya and Quan Junyu are engaged. The vicious female partner who likes Quan Junyu is unwilling to buy people to kidnap Liu Zhiya and threaten Quan Junyu. At the critical moment, Su Yaxi helped Liu Zhiya block the gun and finally died in the arms of his beloved girl. His beloved girl was sad for a few days and then held an engagement ceremony with a male protagonist as usual. Poor Su Yaxi, no one will think of him after he dies. His father was pissed to death by him, and his sister was put in prison by the male and female protagonists in his sister's story. He was left with only a lonely grave. Su Qingni smiled and talked to Quan Junyu for a while. The first contact, regardless of the so-called plot, Su Qingni had a good impression of Quan Junyu. This is a well-educated boy, but a little arrogant and a little rebellious. But in front of outsiders, this rebelliousness is well hidden. This boy is affectionate and righteous, and it would be great to be his friend. Su Qingni assured Su Yaxi to date Quan Junyu and become good friends. Quan Junyu likes the Su family very much. Although Su Yaxi has no mother, he has a very good father. His father is not only capable and can make money, but also very good to him and his sister. He gets along with them like friends, and will not ask children to do or not do anything in the name of their father, and control them tightly. Su's father always has a smile on his face and is so gentle to his children, unlike his father who has a stern face all day long. His heart is full of the company, and he has almost no communication with his son. His mother, on the other hand, was a standard upper-class lady, who spent more time socializing with other ladies than on him. In the Quan family, Quan Junyu could not feel the warmth of the family, but in the Su family, he felt this warmth, so he often stayed at the Su family. Su Qingni saw through the boy's mind, so she became gentle to the boy and treated him the way his father treated his son, so the boy came to Su Qingni's house more diligently. Su Qingni smiled. She could understand why Quan Junyu fell in love with Liu Ziya in the plot. Quan Junyu, who had never felt the warmth of the family, felt a warmth and tenderness in Liu Ziya, just like Su Yaxi in the plot, and was attracted to Liu Ziya naturally. Su Qingni now gave Quan Junyu the warmth of the family. The child is no longer lacking in love. When he meets Liu Ziya in the future, will he still like Liu Ziya? If Quan Junyu really likes Liu Ziya, Su Qingni will sigh that the two of them are destined, and then send Su Yaxi abroad, and will never let her son have anything to do with Liu Ziya. The days passed by as Su Qingni was a father to 3 children. 8 years passed in a flash. This day was the day when Su Yamai graduated from university. As a father, Su Qingni naturally had to attend her daughter's graduation ceremony. Su Yaxi and Quan Junyu studied different majors at the same university as Su Yamai. The two accompanied Su Qingni to Su Yamai's graduation ceremony, and then took photos with Su Yamai on campus. Su Yamai did not choose biochemistry as Su Qingni thought, but chose media. After graduation, she will work in a TV station, or step half a foot into the entertainment industry. Chapter 550. The woman is a supporting role in Cannon Fodder 13. However, Su Yamai worked behind the scenes and joined a TV station where she had shares, rather than those chaotic entertainment companies that kept squeezing artists to make money, so Su Qingni didn't have to worry about her. The scripts written by Su Qingni were more popular than one, not only earning a lot of ratings for the TV station, but also making a lot of money for herself. In order to win over Su Qingni and prevent her from being poached by other TV stations, HGD TV station was very bold to open up the shares of the TV station to Su Qingni, allowing Su Qingni to buy 5% of the shares of the TV station at a reasonable price and become one of the shareholders of the TV station. As Su Qingni's daughter, Su Yamai was known by the senior and even some middle-level employees of the TV station. Su Yamai was taken care of when she entered the TV station, but Su Yamai herself was very capable, so she didn't need special care. As long as she was given the chance, she could show her strength and gain recognition from everyone. Now with her father as a backing, Su Yamai can take fewer detours. Su Yamai gradually gained a foothold in the TV station and became one of the middle-level managers. Because her father is a famous screenwriter and she herself is quite interested in filming, Su Yamai chose to join the TV drama production department, where she would deal with many directors, screenwriters and celebrities every day. Su Yamai met all kinds of people. The entertainment industry is indeed a big divad, as her father said. Those actors look pure and kind on the surface, but in fact they are very scheming. There are all kinds of people. No wonder her father repeatedly warned her not to enter the entertainment industry. Sure enough, the water here is so turbid. Fortunately, her father stopped her from filming TV dramas. Fortunately, her father was worried that she would disobey and secretly film TV dramas, so he cheered up and worked hard, so that she can have the wonderful life she has now. Yami, your suitor has sent you flowers again. A colleague, Jin Mina, came into Su Yamai's office with a bunch of roses. It's Mr. Park again. Jin Mina's face was full of envy. Yami, Mr. Park is handsome and the general manager of Park Real Estate. He is young and rich. Why don't you agree to his pursuit? Su Yamai has a good relationship with Jin Mina. Knowing that Jin Mina is a straightforward girl, she is envious but not jealous. She also really thinks that Park Won-gil is a good person. She thinks that Su Yamai and Park Won-gil are a perfect match, so she often speaks well of Park Won-gil in Su Yamai's ear. I didn't say I don't accept Park Won-gil. Su Yamai smiled like a little fox. I have to see if this person is really sincere, right? Oh, so you want to test him? Jin Mina laughed. Is there a result now? Did Park Won-gil pass? Su Yamai smiled slightly. Unfathomable. Jin Mina couldn't get an answer from Amelia Su, so she couldn't tip someone off. So someone came to ask for the answer. Amelia Su walked out of the TV station and saw a handsome man leaning against the door of a luxury car. When he saw her come out, his eyes lit up and he walked towards her. Amelia Su's ears turned slightly red. She had a good impression of such a young, promising and handsome man. Park Yuanji walked to Amelia Su and said, Miss Amelia, may I have the honor to treat you to a meal? Amelia Su had already decided to accept the man in front of her, so she didn't try to be polite like before, and nodded and said, okay. Park Yuanji was very surprised and immediately helped Amelia Su open the car door, very attentive. Amelia Su got into Park Yuanji's car and made a gesture to Jin Mina outside the car window. Jin Mina also returned a cheering gesture, but she felt a little sad. Oh, such a rich and handsome guy is already taken. She had hoped that Su Yamai would not like Park Yuanji, and she might be able to catch him. Su Qingni no longer makes miniature landscapes to sell. This kind of thing must be exquisite and rare in order to sell at a high price. If it is like cabbage, it will be worthless if there are too many. However, relying on only 5 finished products, Su Qingni has been hailed as a master. The value of the miniature landscapes she made has increased again and again, and it is already sky high. Now there are still some people who like to pretend to be cool and want Su Qingni to make another miniature landscape to sell to them with a large sum of money, but Su Qingni refused them all. The family is not short of money, so Su Qingni doesn't even write scripts often. She only writes a script occasionally when she is interested. Over the years, the children have grown up, and her legs have been much better. Although she can't walk for a long time, she can still walk slowly for a few minutes. Seeing that both of her children had made progress, Su Qingni went out to look for a very yin place in the name of traveling, and she was not at home for half of the year. It was the end of the year again, and Su Qingni returned home. It was natural to spend the new year with her family. The family hired a nanny, so it was not Su Qingni's turn to cook. She sat in the living room, making tea with tea art tools in front of her. There was a sound at the door, and soon, Su Yamai came in. But she was not alone, with a young and handsome man behind her. The man was wearing a decent suit, with outstanding temperament, and it could be seen that he had a good family background. "Dad!" Su Yamai shouted in surprise when she saw her father, and then she regretted it a little. If she had known that her father had returned, she would not have brought her boyfriend home. "Yamai, is this your boyfriend?" Su Qingni asked Su Yamai with a smile, staring at Park Yuanji. She didn't care that the cabbage at home was pushed by the pig, as long as the pig was excellent and really liked her cabbage and would be devoted to her cabbage. Su Yamai blushed. It was too late to let Park Won-gil go. She simply admitted generously, "Yes, Dad, this is my boyfriend, Park Won-gil." Park Won-gil bowed to Su Qingni very respectfully. "Uncle, hello, I am Yamai's boyfriend. I can call you Park Won-gil. I will be good to Yamai for the rest of my life. Please rest assured to leave Yamai to me to take care of her." Park Won-gil. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows. Isn't this the male protagonist in Su Yamai's story? Unexpectedly, Su Yamai did not become a star, but still met Park Won-gil, and the two fell in love. However, the current Yamai is not the poor artist in the plot who has black material and is threatened and exploited by the entertainment company. She will not be forced to break up with her boyfriend. Her ending with Park Won-gil should be changed, right? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.